Searching for a perfect mix. Sky high standards touching the stars. Looking for astronauts driving sports cars. Every wish list reaches the sky. Still asking why the good ones pass by. Sky high standards higher each day. Everyone chasing the very same play. Maybe perfection never arrives. Maybe real people make better lives. Exotic tongues rise, love poem still stays young. Master chef with millionaire pay answers every text right away. Adventure weekends every week, strong but gentle, humble yet unique. Never jealous, never late, apparently designed by fate. Another swipe, another clone, another prince behind the phone. Every bio starts the same, everybody playing one game. Touching the stars, looking for astronauts driving sports cars. Every wish list reaches the sky, still asking why the good ones pass by. Sky high standards higher each day, everyone chasing the very same play. Maybe perfection never arrives, maybe real people make better lives. What if ordinary wins? What if love begins? Laughing over burnt out toast instead of chasing polished ghosts. Nobody checks every single box. Life ignores the dating docs. The algorithm can't decide what makes two imperfect hearts collide. Higher, higher, higher than the clouds. Everybody climbing ladders. Nobody asking what truly matters. Sky high standards floating above, sometimes missing everyday love. Looking so hard for fantasy, missing what's right in front to see. Sky high standards fade away, reality has its own display. Perfect people rarely appear, real connection starts right here. Checklist closes, the music plays, reality smiles and quietly stays.
What's up, everyone? What is up? Welcome to the Saturday night stream. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone had a good week. Alright, so we have a few themed videos. Alright, we have a few themed videos for tonight. So hopefully you like it. Hopefully, it'll be interesting watch. So thank you guys for all being here. Thank you for all the love, for the support. Thank you for checking out my videos. Yeah. If you've never been here, this is a kind of a reaction channel, right? So I watch things online, give my opinion. You like it? Awesome. You don't? Cool too, right? So I have some opinions on things, and we always share our opinions, right? So wouldn't mind reading your chats. Wednesdays, right? Wednesdays on this channel, I do a call-in show every Wednesday. So you can always call in, have a disagreement, or support, or just you want to join in and react to things, right? So those are the things I do. Live streams as regular as possible, Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. So thank you guys for being here. You guys are amazing. All right, let's get started. All right, so this guy's gonna do some commentary on Korea. Again, I'm Vietnamese. I don't really know what's going on in Korea, so just glancery stuff. So let's hear what his thoughts are.
By now, you've probably heard the headlines. South Korea is disappearing, South Korea's low birth rate, blah blah blah.
That's what I heard, right? Again, I don't. I think it was. I forgot where it was. Laughing Man, what is up, my brother? What is up? I forgot where I heard it from. Could be Morgan Stanley. I don't know. But I did hear in like 50 years. In 50 years, Koreans will go extinct or could go extinct. To learn that that's not really true. So I mean, that's what I heard. But good that I got it confirmed, right? I got it confirmed. But here's the thing: it is 100% true that they are number one in low birth rates. I believe that's what I read on Grok. They're number one on low birth rates.
Elon Musk famously tweeted that at this rate, the peninsula might eventually be empty. With a birth rate that plummeted to 0.72, experts have dubbed this population cliff a demographic collapse so steep it threatens the very survival of the nation. But amidst this gloom, a strange headline flickered in 2024. The number of marriages in South Korea suddenly jumped by 14.8%. After a decade of freefall, people wondered, is the crisis over? Are young Koreans finally falling in love again? Well, the reality is more of a math trick than a romantic revival. When you look closer, this wasn't a change of heart, but a change of timing. Most of that jump was actually just a backlog of couples who delayed their weddings during COVID-19, or savvy pairs finally registering their marriage after milking the benefits of their single status, like separate low-interest housing loans. So the economic pressure hadn't vanished, and people were just navigating around it. But hidden in that data was a much more significant permanent shift. Interestingly, in 2023, international marriages in Korea surged by 18.3%, and by 2024, the momentum continued as the number of international marriage reached more than 20,000 cases, a 5.
This is a thing where it's happening more and more. International marriages, passport bros. My brothers, I've said this countless times before. Let these feminists go extinct. Let the feminists go extinct. Let these women with sky high standards, right? Don't try to belittle their standards. You want a 6-foot man? Go for it. You want a man that makes 6-figure? Go for it. You want a man that's extremely attractive? Go for it. You have all the power in the world. You are right for your standards. What men will do, right? What men will do, no matter where they're from. Focus on yourself. Focus on being the best version of yourself. Best version of yourself mentally, physically, financially. Best version of yourself. And get a passport. Get a passport, my brothers. Travel the world. Right? When you travel the world, that opens up your dating market. Now, I'm not saying that automatically, marry a woman that's foreign, right? Marry a woman outside the country. No. But here's the thing. Unlike women, men don't want to. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. Sierra, thank you for the love. Thank you for the love, guys. Let's see. I just wanted to thank you for sending a Cash App. All right. Thank you for the love. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the support. But yes, like I said, my brothers, focus on yourself. Be the best version of yourself. Open up your dating market, because unlike women who want their dating pool to shrink, no, my brothers, have as much options as you can, because with options, you are not desperate. My brothers, how do women get it over you? Right? because they use your desperation. They use your weakness for women and lust against you. My brothers, be in control. Be in control, right, of your weaknesses, right? Desperation, weakness of women, weakness of lust, right? If you are at the best version of yourself, and if you open up your thank you, my brother. Thank you, laughing man. I love you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. Right? I love you, brother. But yes, travel the world. Open up your dating market so you can not be desperate, right? So you don't have to be settled for, and you don't have to settle for the women that honestly don't want you. This is how men are fighting against feminism right here, right? This is how men are fighting against feminism.
0.3% increase from the previous year's 19,000. So what does this mean for the big picture? International marriages now account for 10% of all weddings in this country. In other words, almost 1 out of 10 newlywed couples in Korea is now finding their love across borders. This rate is holding steady and is only predicted to increase. For a Western viewer, that might not sound shocking, but you have to understand that Korea is historically one of the most ethnically homogenous countries on Earth, and we've traditionally taken immense pride in that single bloodline identity. So this leaves us with the big question. Why are Koreans, who are notoriously picky about status, wealth, and background, suddenly deciding that their best chance at happiness lies across the oceans?
Because their women have been poisoned by feminism. We have Korea, we have Japan, we have China. These nations, these Asian nations, has been drastically poisoned by feminism, right? This is a theory I just thought about, right? We have a housing crisis. But guess what? What is one of the differences, right? What is one of the differences between today and, let's say, the 1940s? Men and women are living separately. Men and women are living separately. So now you have essentially 2 times the population, right? At one point in time, men and women were living together, married, one household. Now, you don't have that. You have 2 parties not living together. So guess what? No duh, we have a housing crisis, and we don't have enough men building houses for both men and women, right? Separately. We don't have enough men to quickly, right, build enough houses for these two separate parties, right? I think another result of feminism, right? Another result of feminism, the housing crisis.
So we have to first look at this question. Why is it so hard for Koreans to marry other Koreans? It turns out that the marriage market here has transformed into a brutal survival audition. Now let's be clear, there are many structural reasons for Korea's low birth.
Survival game, right? The strongest wins. That's the survival game, right? The fittest wins, right? But guess what? We all know this. We all know this in this space, right? 80% of women only want 20% of men. 80% of women only want 20% of men. My brothers, right? This is a survival game. This is a survival game. Fuck these feminists, right? This is a survival game. Right? These women want to share the top 20% of men, want to go for the top 20% of men. Fine. Go outside of your country. Passport bros. That's what I'm talking about. Passport bros. Right? Get your passport, travel the world. That's the thing. Hey, DA, did you ever see or remember the movie Blood and Bones, starring Michael J. White? Now, I haven't seen it. Remember the Asian guy that's part of the underground fighting? They introduced him. He got a channel. I never seen it. I've heard of the movie. I just haven't seen it.
birth rate. Personally, I think the biggest problem is the astronomical housing cost, the job insecurity, and the crushing expenses of private education for kids. But later,
All three he said, in my opinion, it is thanks to feminism, right? Thanks to feminism. When you add, right, double the population, right, double the existing working force into something, not many things can slowly absorb that amount, right? Like I said, the housing crisis, like I said, the job market, you have more people than you have jobs, right? Or at least more unqualified people for qualifying or for good jobs, right? That's the thing. So you have too many people for too few good jobs. Just like the housing and the schooling, now that we add women to schooling, which is, here's the thing, right? I'm talking all this stuff, but it's not like I'm saying, oh, I want to take rights away from women, or women shouldn't go to school, women shouldn't have jobs, women shouldn't have homes. That's not what I'm saying. My brothers, we haven't changed, right? We haven't changed. Women change. Women have changed society. So guess what? We have to adapt. We have to adapt. Men have to adapt. We didn't change. We didn't start the ball rolling. Women did. So women have changed society for the better or worse. That's up to you. But we have to live in it. So we have to adapt to it. Right? Do what you can. Adapt, my brothers. Save, budget, invest, work on yourself. Get that passport.
lately, a more visceral term has been trending on social media: the auditioning of marriage. In most places, marriage is ideally about finding a partner. But in Korea's hyper-competitive climate, it feels like you're being graded on a scorecard. People aren't just looking for a soulmate, they're looking for a winner who can guarantee a middle-class life in a failing economy. And this brings us to a controversial word: hypergamy. Historically, men provided and women managed the home. And today, Korean women are just as successful as men, but the economic expectations have
This right here, this is why red pill isn't misogyny. Red pill isn't misogyny. Red pill is reality, right? We all understand red pill isn't misogyny. It is men telling you what is reality, right? It's men waking up from the matrix and telling you this is actually reality right here.
haven't caught up to that reality. Many still feel the systemic pressure for the man to provide a perfect financial foundation. And the problem is that in today's economy, there aren't enough perfect men to go around with. This creates a massive
Not enough perfect men. Exactly. Exactly. Right? In a world where we're supposed to be women are supposed to be equal to men, men are supposed to be equal to women. Women still hold men to traditional standards. Women still hold men to traditional standards. Now, let me say this, right? I'm saying this. This is my belief. I've always believed that 50-50 is the modern natural way for average people. Average people. I'm not saying above average, right? Men that make 100K or above. For average men, 50-50 is the way to go. I've always been a proponent. When you do 50-50 as average people, you must both contribute financially, both contribute domestically, both contribute in childcare, right? Child rearing. Both contribute as equally as possible. Okay? So I'm not saying that, oh my God, women should work, men should work, but yet women should do all the domestic work, all the childcare, all that. No, that's not what I'm saying, right? I do believe that men also need time with their kids, right? Men also need time with their wife. Men should also be adults and take care of your house, right? Now, if you are doing the full blunt of the work, now that's not 50-50, even as a man, right?
bottleneck where everyone is stuck waiting for a partner that barely exists. And the pressure is extreme. To give you some perspective, a decent apartment in Seoul, the kind people actually want to raise a family in, now averages around $1 million. When the barrier to entry is $1 million, the audition becomes almost impossible for most.
What? Damn, is that like Manhattan? $1 million for an apartment?
Most people. And people often want a partner with a big corporate job, six-figure salary, or in a specialized profession like law or medicine. And on top of the bank account, you have the self-management test, 자기 관리. For men, the bar is set at the golden standard. You should be around 180 centimeters tall, have a sharp fashion sense, and avoid looking like an aje, an old man at.
So you see that? They don't just expect you to make a certain amount. They also put other expectations on you. Right? You have to look a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way. This is a thing. This is what men are dealing with.
At all costs. And even if you pass all these tests, you still have to deal with family compatibility. I see this with my own friends as well. I have a friend who's incredibly kind and hardworking and okay looking, but because he's a civil servant worker in the countryside with.
I agree with you, DA, for a modern lifestyle, but I can't disagree with you because I got traditional values and a mixture of. I mean, this is a thing where, let me say this, right? I say that, what I said, right? I mean, for most people, average people, but I'm not saying that necessarily I would do that, okay? I mean, I wouldn't mind, and I wouldn't mind having a traditional relationship where I lead, she follows, she does the domestic work, I provide. This is the thing where I don't mind that. I'm not gonna harp on that. And to be honest, it is a natural way. I'm just saying for most modern women, if you are going to get with a Western woman, right, a woman that has been dipped in feminism, even a little bit or a lot, right? I say 50-50, right? Most or if not all, right? If not majority of modern day women, they do not qualify for traditional relationships. Majority of modern day women do not qualify for traditional relationships. They, at best, they qualify for 50-50. You both contribute. Why? Because you need to cut off, right? You need to cut off the head of the serpent as quickly as possible, because you will not let her complain. Oh my God! You know what? He takes away all my autonomy. Right? I can't. What about my money? What about me? Well, work now, right? You have to work. Now you have to work, so you can't complain that I'm financially abusing you. You can't complain that, you know what? It's like you have no autonomy. You can't complain that you don't know who you are. You're working, right? So really, you're providing for it too. You can't complain about inequality. And like I said, when it comes to 50-50, you are also providing equal amount or enough in the domestic work and the childcare, because you want to shut her up at the start. She can't oh my God, he's taking care of his kids. Bitch, what are you talking about? Right? How you complain that? Oh my God, he's not allowing me to have a job. No, you're working. Right? Oh my God, he doesn't know how to do any domestic work. I'm doing it. Right? Again, anticipates her complaints. 50-50 is the way to go. Modern day feminists, modern day women do not qualify for traditional relationships. 100%. I just don't. Right? Because you got to nip it in the butt. Because women will find something to complain about. How can women complain that you treat them equal? Because then they have they have nothing, no logic to stand on. I'm treating you like an equal. You don't want me to treat you like an equal? Are you not a feminist? Did you not say that you're a feminist? So now you don't want me to treat you like an equal, right? You don't want me to let you be your own person? You're not just a wife, you're not just a mother, right? You're a career woman. I'm not holding you back from your career. I'm not I don't know, privileged. I'm not a privileged man, right? You're doing the work. You have the ability to be your strong, independent self. Do I eat dates, the fruit? No, I don't. Right? I don't. I like strawberries, bananas, cherries. I don't. I don't. I rarely have dates. I don't really. I don't eat that fruit often. Right? It's a rare. It's a rare thing for me.
The average paycheck, no house yet, little savings, a small Hyundai car for commute. He was rejected by potential partners over and over and over again. Well, at least that's what he believes is a big part of the reasoning. But he told me he felt like a failure simply because his specs didn't meet the market rate. And of course, it's not just men who are being graded. Women face their own brutal standards, specifically regarding age and appearance. In the world of high-end matchmaking agencies, they say a woman's grade starts dropping to a C level the moment she turns 30 and above. And now,
And this is the thing, right? It's equality. You want to judge men on his, I don't know, his resources? Well, men will judge you on your beauty. Plain and simple. So, pick your poison, right? If you're a type of woman that doesn't judge men on superficial shit, then rightfully so, men shouldn't judge you on superficial shit. But I guarantee you that is a rare woman.
nowadays, men are starting to
Yeah, I mean, I do it back and forth, right? The water bottle, I didn't fill it up, right? I didn't fill it up. So I didn't have enough water for it.
expect women to have a certain amount of savings and a stable job as well. Because the economic system makes it so hard to succeed, both sides have set their barriers so high that they've trapped themselves in a cycle of fatigue. And this exhaustion has fueled a gender war so intense that international outlets often describe Korea as a country where men and women hate each other. I do have to say though, it's not always that serious in real life. Like go to Han River, you'll see a bunch of gazillion of couples walking around, and you'll see people love bombing each other. So honestly, it's mostly an exaggerated internet phenomenon.
Is it? Is it exaggerated? I mean, again, he's using anecdotal, right? The amount of people you see in, let's say, whatever he said, the Han River, unless that equals to 1 million people, what you're saying means nothing, right? What you're saying means nothing. Literally, he's shown you stats are saying marriage rates are down, birth rates are down, right? Now, it doesn't mean that, people aren't hooking up. That's part of feminism, right? Hookup culture is part of feminism. Having a lot of sex, having sex with multiple different people, that's part of feminism. So, okay, you're seeing people together. Means fucking what? Right? There's no family creation. There's no stability. They're knocking boots. Great. Who cares? Who cares? That doesn't better your society. That doesn't make a prosperous society. That people are just knocking boots with no real outcome, right? There's no stability to it, right? No marriage. There's no real outcome to it. No childbirth. So you already gave the two reasons why whatever you think now means really much of nothing.
But when the news and social media starts picking it up and publishing it for views, it definitely starts to poison the public mindset. So why does marriage feel like such a huge impossible task? It's because of the comparison disease, especially amplified by social media. Korea has one of the highest Instagram usage rates per capita in the world, and it's
No. I'm talking about what stereotype? What stereotype are you thinking?
making the youth miserable.
Active social network penetration, selected countries and territories. What? Penetration?
Every morning, the feed is flooded by luxury staycations, hokkangses, 5-star hotels unboxing Dior bags, driving Porsches, and it creates a suffocating FOMO effect. In Korea, you don't just get married for yourself. You have to prove to the digital world or your relatives or your friends.
Right here. That right there is why, right? Is why we have people saying, I make $100K and I live paycheck to paycheck. I know this whole thing that, oh my God, having children is too expensive. You're fucking stupid. You're stupid. Right? Oh my God, life is too expensive. America is too expensive. Now, I'm not saying it's cheap. I'm not saying it's cheap, right? I'm not saying life is cheap. But what I am saying is that it's not necessarily too expensive. The problem is it can't afford luxuries, right? You're having a hard time affording luxuries in today's age because we are inundated, right, by luxuries thanks to social media and making 100K, making 50K, whatever. You can put a roof over your head. You can survive on it. The problem isn't survival, right? The problem it's not even just survival, right? You can actually survive well, right, on the medium income. I'm not saying great, right? I'm not saying you can get luxuries, but the problem is, right, is that you can't afford luxuries, right? You can't afford cruises. You can't afford trips every other month, every couple months. You can't afford like designer clothes. You can't afford, always shopping at Whole Foods, right? But why should you?
Is that you've made it to the upper middle class. The financial burden of a Korean wedding has reached a level of collective madness. It starts with the ceremony, booking a trendy wedding hall, and renting a designer dress. That can all easily
Laughing man, you're crazy. Okay.
cost a couple between $30,000 to $50,000 and above for studio photography, dress rental, and professional makeup. And this holy trinity of wedding prep ensures that the couple spends an entire day acting like movie stars on a film set. And while it sounds glamorous, it's a grueling.
This is why in a day age where marriage rates are low, birth rates are low, weddings are still a $1 billion industry. Fuck that shit. I'm not spending thousands upon thousands of dollars for a party. No. When I get married, right, it will be just a nice dinner. It will just be a nice thing, right? Not spent thousands of dollars for. Plain and simple. Right? You eat, you have fun, you get together. That money will go into the family, right? To prosper the family, to make the family prosper. This is why, right? This is why spending thousands of dollars for the wedding, and then you said you can't afford an apartment, you can't afford other things. Yeah, because you don't have a financial education.
An expensive ordeal with packages starting at $3,000 and often skyrocketing past $10K, depending on the prestige of a specific studio's name. The real final boss of cost comes through the honsu and yemur. Honsu involves furnishing the new home with top-tier appliances, a heavy burden usually placed on the bride, and this is followed by yemur, a high-stakes exchange of token gifts between the two families. And we aren't just talking about simple rings, we're talking about Rolex watches, Chanel bags, meant to signal social standing to both families and friends. In this environment, a wedding isn't just a union of two people, it's a high-cost performance of status that leaves many young people financially exhausted even before their life together begins.
See, that's the thing where you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to do any of that. You're choosing to. You don't have to have a big wedding. You don't have to have a big honeymoon trip. Right? You don't have to buy wedding gifts and jewelries. You don't have to do fucking any of that. This is a thing where, again, it's that superficial, it's the Western poisoning, right? The superficialness of things. It's disgusting. It's no longer about a union, right? It's no longer about love. It's no longer about building something together. It's about showing off. That's what it is. They do plastic surgery and it goes horribly wrong. I think they call it. Oh yeah, I've seen that. I haven't seen the horrible surgeries, but I know that they like God, it's so stupid, right? Asian people they will cut a slit here so they can have like a more like you see how his face is, right? You see right here? It's how it's flat right there. They cut it so there's be more of a line, more of a groove, right? Ethan, what is up, my brother? What is up? East Asian feminism, superficial materialism, white feminism. I'm your savior. And yes, exactly.
This pressure is literally pushing an entire generation into isolation. I myself want to do a small wedding. I do not want to do 30K, 40K weddings. However, the tradition and the culture here is just like that, and your parents expect you to do that as well. So it's very hard as an individual to escape that trap. Besides all of that, this is where international marriage comes in as a liberation of values. When you marry someone from a different culture, you can stop playing the Korean status game. As psychology professor Yang Nan-mi notes, young Koreans exhausted by excessive competition and social ranking are increasingly seeking international relationships as a way to escape the system. It's an exit ramp from a race that no one can win. So let's look closer at what these international marriages actually look like in Korea today and why the trends are shifting so drastically. In the past, international marriage in Korea was almost synonymous with mail order brides in rural farming towns, but those days are over. Today, everyone from office workers in Gangnam to university students in Hongdae are looking abroad. But here's the kicker: men and women are moving in totally different directions. Currently, the ratio of international marriages is roughly 75% Korean men marrying foreign women and 25% Korean women marrying foreign men.
Same thing in America. If your men don't want you, right? If your men don't want you, if your men don't even qualify for you, right? This is the thing, right? Same thing in America. If your men don't qualify for you, why would other men qualify for you, right? That's the thing you got to think about. If your men, right? If your men aren't good enough for you, if Korean men aren't good enough for Korean women, what would be the difference with other men, right? This is why when a lot of women, right, for like Korean women, American women, when they go overseas, this passport system shit, crickets. No man is clamoring for you. They'll clap those cheeks, right? Those foreign men will clap those cheeks, but they don't want you. They don't want to commit to you. They don't even qualify for you, right? They don't qualify for you. So the difference is Asian men, we're waking up. Asian men are waking up. No more of that shit. We are getting our passports. Asian men are getting their passports. All right? My brothers, that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Work on yourself. Be the best version of yourself. Get a passport. Open up. All right? Open up your dating market. That is how we fight feminism. Let these feminists go extinct. Let these feminists go extinct. My brothers. Right? We are doing it.
Because of this skew, the cultural shift we're seeing is heavily driven by the male perspective. One of the most shocking statistics recently is the explosion of Japanese partners. In 2023 alone, marriages between Korean men and Japanese women jumped by a staggering 40.2%, the biggest jump within 10 years, and this phenomenon has been widely publicized.
And it's gonna be crazy because they don't like each other, right? Korea and Japan, they don't have a big love for each other. But when it comes to passport bros, we break the boundaries. We break those craziness. All right, my brothers.
By the news, media, trying to analyze the reason behind it. If you know our history, it's pretty surprising, right? So why is this happening? According to the news and the sentiment from online communities, there is a clear reason. Many Korean men feel that Japanese women prioritize the idea of building a life together and are supportive of the journey rather than the idea of building a life together and are supportive.
I give birth to your child. I give birth to our beloved child. Ain't that something, right? Korean women, I gave birth to your child. Japanese women, I gave birth to our beloved child. Ain't that something?
Supportive of the journey rather than the starting point or the destination.
Japanese women, let's live happily. Korean women, try making me happy. Yo! What? Right there. You could say this. American women, right? You could take out Japanese and say foreign women, right? Foreign women said, let's live happily. American women, try making me happy. That is feminism, right? That is feminism in a nutshell. Selfishness. Me, me, me. That is feminism in a nutshell, right there.
Nation. You don't need a $1 million apartment. And one man summarized it perfectly
Yeah, white guys go to Colombia or the Philippines. Korean guys go to Japan or Russia. Exactly.
in the news.
Korean women, marriage should start at 100, then go into 2 to 300. Japanese women, marriage can start at 0. More reasonable. Better than you average city girl boss in America, at least the Korean ones. I agree. Right? At least the Korean ones aren't fat. That's true.
Interview saying, when I dated Koreans, I often felt stuck in a relationship that wasn't going anywhere or felt too cautious to move forward, but with my Japanese partner, I felt an immediate emotional connection, like we were actually on the same team. And on the flip side, many Japanese women are drawn to Korean men, perceiving them as more expressive, romantic, and well-groomed than the more reserved men back in Japan. Now, I know these are often generalizations and stereotypes fueled by internet anecdotes, K-dramas, but the impact is real. The perception of international marriage has shifted from a last resort for those who can't marry locally to a favorable, trendy choice. A thought that would have been unthinkable to the previous generation. And surprisingly, it's not just happening in Japan. Thanks to the global explosion of K-pop and K-dramas, Korean men have gone from being overlooked to being seen as some of the most attractive men in Asia. Up till now, you might be wondering, okay,
I do admit, Korean men are up, right? Korean men are, because of K-pop, because of K-drama, Korean men are highly desirable right now. And the Japanese men go to their AI girlfriends. It's kind of true.
so what about the Korean women? While the numbers are smaller, Korean women are also looking outward, but they are largely heading west. Historically, Asian or Korean women have had a more established popularity in the global marriage market, but their motivations today are shifting. For many women, marriages with men from the US, Canada, or Europe represent a chance to escape the patriarchy rooted
White men. They're going for white men.
in traditional Confucianism in Korea. Specifically, they want to avoid the dreaded she world, that high-pressure Korean in-law culture that can be incredibly overbearing for a daughter-in-law. And they're looking for horizontal relationships where chores are shared equally and the professional careers are genuinely
Feminism. Now, the whole in-law part, I can understand, but what he just said right there, right? Horizontally, everything is shared. Feminism, right? Korean women who have been poisoned by feminism are looking for essentially feminist affected men, right? Which is white men. I'm sorry, right? Feminism was developed by the white woman. Feminism was developed by the white woman. Guess who's been affected by it? White men. So guess who are more likely to be feminine or feminist tolerant men? White men, right? White men are more likely to be feminist tolerant, right? So Korean women go for the white men. No surprise there, because they are extreme feminists. They're no different than white women, right? Korean women are really no different than white women. So no, it's understandable why they're going for white men. Plus, white men, they fetishize Asian women. So kill two birds with one stone, I guess. Western white guys be the biggest simps. Great for feminism. 100% agree. All right? Ethan, 100% right. So,
respected rather than sidelined by tradition. Now, I want to be fair here. I know plenty of happily married, loving Korean couples, and a lot of what we see online are extreme generalizations fueled by gender war. And it's not that Korean guys don't do any housework at all. In fact, most younger men today are more than willing to share the load. And also, it's not that all Korean women are demanding or unprepared. Some women have already saved up sufficient amounts of money and look for just a decent decent guy with a kind heart. But because these negative narratives permeate our society, they create a ripple effect.
Okay. No, I can understand that. I mean, I can understand it.
And for many, international marriage looks like the only available escape hatch from a rigid social script. Speaking of romanticizing these unions, we have to talk about the massive catalyst, YouTube. If you search for Hanil Bubu or Gukje couple, you'll find thousands of channels, and most of them are wildly successful. I would say many of these creators act as pioneers, showing how to navigate life, visas, insurance, and family introductions in a foreign land and different culture. But naturally, because these channels are built on views, sometimes they have the tendency to focus on the highlights, which fuels a powerful fantasy. And from the men's perspective, it could be like, oh, look how happy he is because his foreign wife is so open-minded and appreciative. And from the women's perspective, it could be like, look how charming that Korean husband is, and their lifestyle in Seoul looks like a K-drama. But while these vlogs provide a somewhat romanticized, positive idea of international marriage, there is also an overlooked, much darker side to these recent statistics that we need to be careful about. For decades, a commercial matchmaking industry has thrived, particularly targeting Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam, Thailand, and Cambodia. And note that these are
White man is a dog to his women. Nationalities of foreign wives ranked. Top 8. Marriages with Korean husbands. Wow, really? Look at that. Vietnam is number 1. Chinese number 2. Thailand. Okay. And then Japan. U.S. women is number 5. Isn't that interesting? Philippines, Laos, Cambodia. That's interesting.
are included into the international
National Statistical Office 2025 marriage and divorce statistics. Interesting.
marriage stats as well. It's a supply and demand market born from a desperate marriage gap in rural Korea. As of 2023 statistics, the gender ratio in rural areas remain heavily skewed, with Vietnam alone accounting for 33.5% of all foreign brides in Korea. The process is staggeringly fast. Sometimes it happens fully remote. This speed marriage industry is often criticized as they often fall into a blind spot of legal protection. Some face severe abuse, extreme pressure from in-laws, or are forced into unpaid labor on family farms. And because the union wasn't built on love, but on a financial transaction, the foundation for happiness is dangerously thin. The pain goes both ways. Not all Korean husbands are the villains, and not all wives are the victims as well. There is a growing phenomenon of planned runaways where a spouse obtains residency and then disappears after a certain amount of time. There's also visa fraud, where marriage is used simply as a ticket to enter the Korean job market. Many Korean men, often from lower income rural
Korean be taking your woman. This is a thing where here's the thing, right? I mean, it seems like it, but I always think about this, right? My brothers don't have a we always talk about this, right? Don't have a whatchamacallit, a scarcity mindset. There was a point in time where I was desperate, right? So desperation made me depressed because I always wanted a girlfriend. Well, that was stupid of me, right? I was thinking that, I stay in relationships even though I should have left relationships because of a scarcity mindset, right? I was like, oh my God, I can't find a girl, so I can't leave this relationship. It's a weakness. Red Door, what is up, my sister? I know a native woman that has a Korean husband. He's a great guy. That's love. Wow. This is a thing where the things you're saying is probably a small community, but it's amazing that the Native American community is, expanding into other communities, right? Where they don't necessarily have a problem with, integrating other cultures. I love that.
backgrounds have lost their entire life savings and their hearts to these scams, with almost no legal recourse to recover their losses. And current Korean laws arguably make it worse. A foreign spouse's right to stay often depends on the Korean husband's guarantee or signature. This creates a toxic master and servant kind of dynamic instead of a husband and wife partnership. It's a recipe for disaster that treats human lives like commodities. Korea now has over 2.5 million foreign residents, making up roughly 4.9% of our population, and it's expected to grow. By OECD standards, we are officially standing on the doorstep of becoming a multicultural nation. But the big question remains, are we actually ready to live together? The concept of single ethnic group, 단일 민족, is slowly moving into the history books, and these 2.5 million people aren't just guests passing through. They are our coworkers, our neighbors.
I think Korea is going to have a hard time. Right? I think Korea, like Japan, is going to have a hard time. They've been homogenous for centuries, right? They have been homogenous for centuries. They have been homogenous longer than America has been alive, right? Has been a thing. This is the difference between, let's say, America, right? America hasn't been really homogenous for that long, right? Like mainly white people. It hasn't. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but probably, I don't know, before slavery, right? Before slavery, the introductions of slavery, like black slaves, Chinese slaves, whatever. I believe they were only around for what, I'm guessing. This is a guess, right? Maybe 300 years, maybe that, right? 3, 4. Again, I'm not a historian, so correct me if I'm wrong. But it's still, I believe it's correct that they haven't been homogenous, only white, or mainly, or 90% white for that many years, right? For that many centuries, if that. While places like China, Japan, Korea, all these other countries have been homogenous for literally hundreds of centuries, I believe.
And fellow citizens, and most importantly, our loved ones as well. While the rebound in marriage numbers and the rise of
North Korea is going to survive out of all other. I mean, here's the thing, right? When you have a dictator forces you to get married or forces you to have kids, yeah.
International couples might look like a silver lining in the birth rate problem, we shouldn't be blinded by the statistics. International marriage isn't just a simple patch for a crisis. The survival of Korea doesn't depend on how many people we bring in, but how well we treat them. So we need to move past sponsorship laws that treat spouses like property and ensure that multicultural children can feel 100% included in our Korean society without the fear of being marginalized. Ultimately, international marriage shouldn't be a back door to escape a hard life, but a main gate to a better, more diverse Korea. And of course, for that gate to stay open, the root causes, the $1 million apartments, the intense competition, the collective social exhaustion, must be dealt with first. I've explored those deeper systemic issues in other videos.
He's going a little bit woke at the end. I mean, to be honest, I don't know if multiculturalism will be a good thing. It's really not the greatest thing for America currently, right? So, I don't know. I believe I saw it, right? But what do you guys think? What I saw there's like multiculturalism isn't a good thing, but pluralism is, right? Multiculturalism often promotes separate cultural enclaves and moral equivalence, whereas pluralism encourages active engagement under a shared political and legal framework. So, multiculturalism might not be a good thing, right? Because it's not the best for America right now. All right, let's check out some other videos.
living patiently in the
Let's check this one out, right? So we're going to be checking out a whole bunch of Asian themed videos, right? Because so many people always comment, you don't talk about Asian people. You don't talk about Asian people. Well, here we go.
belief that good times will someday come no longer works. Jang Jong-ho, a man in his 20s, has as his motto the so-called box peonsa, living at ease in a complicated world. In other words, he is this man. He lives saying what he thinks, in his own world, which opens up after work hours.
구독자 여러분,
Free my body from the corset of modern times, shouting things like that. It's a group that protests by taking off their brass and even removing their tops. They brandish the fact of being female, as if it were a privilege, and when it suits them, they say that men and women are different. When they're at a disadvantage, they shout for equality between the sexes. I wanted to speak firmly to these double-standard women. This behavior of yours is ridiculous.
Oh, shit. Red Pill Korean, right? Red Pill in Korea.
Don't do this. It's not right. Stop and think that this is wrong behavior.
South Korea's vigorous feminist movement ultimately ended in bleak fashion, with women losing all their rights. The wage gap between men and women in South Korea has held the top spot among developed countries for 27 consecutive years, and in over 80% of the boards of directors of major Korean companies. Not a single woman can be found. Korea took 30 years to create the economic miracle of the Han River. Yet it rigidly fixed the status of women in the mud of that very river. Korean women came to see not marrying and not having children as the ultimate revenge against patriarchal society. As a result, Korea's birth rate fell to the lowest in the world, and the entire country is heading toward natural disappearance. In the 2022 presidential election, nearly 60% of young men voted for an openly anti-feminist candidate, and the male audience gave the film Kim Ji-young, born 1982, an extremely low rating of 2.8 stars. A social movement in the name of equality ultimately ended up intensifying division, dragging the entire country deeper and deeper into the quagmire of gender antagonism. Hello everyone, I'm Shendu, and today I'll guide you, brothers, through an analysis of the history of the demise of feminism in Japan and Korea. Before we begin, let's first give a brief introduction to feminism. The general idea is opposition, across all fields of society, to gender-based discrimination.
I don't know if you ever heard of it, DA, or that kind of music, but have you ever heard 3 Years Grace? Yeah, I've heard it. I Hate Everything About You, the song, and you know that came out in, yeah, 3 Days Grace. Yes, I do. Great a band. A great band.
Oppression and exploitation in pursuit of women's liberation and equality between the sexes. Around here, I don't think we have that problem, right? If we do, it must be among us, the fellow men. In the 1980s of the last century, the Japanese economy was advancing triumphantly before the bubble burst, while Korea was staging the world-famous Han River miracle. With more money, your back stands straighter, and spiritual needs arise too. Along with the economic takeoff, women in Japan and Korea also began to leave the home and pour into the workforce. And the current of feminism followed in its wake. To what extent was Japanese feminism on the rise back then? They proposed a concept called romance capitalism. Put simply, an independent woman of the new era would need 4 boyfriends at her side. 1 to run errands, 1 to pay the bills, 1 to give gifts, and only a 4th would be the real boyfriend.
Feminism right there. Feminism right there, which is a very Red Pill song in the video. Yes.
To invite a woman to dinner without a car worth 50,000 yen, would you even dare to open your mouth? To give gifts without some jewelry or accessory, are you treating her like a beggar? This kind of material demand, made with complete self-assurance, was at the time considered something absolutely natural. If you want to win me over, you have to show sincerity, burn your calories for my happiness. And it didn't stop there. Later, it evolved into a type called the New Heisei Era woman, and this crowd was even more radical. They dispensed with dating altogether, and the slogan was not to marry and to physically discard men. They believed women were innately good and should help one another, while men were all stinky men, and marriage was even more of a male conspiracy.
Feminism doesn't change no matter what country it goes. It seeps its poison into, right? That's feminism in a nutshell. F the definition, right? F the definition, equality. No. How does it look in practice, right? How does it look in society? It's not equality. It's power. It's always been about power. Yes, definitionally, yeah, it's equality. But in practice, it has always been about power, right? It has always been about propping up women, destroying men, saving women, attacking men.
A shackle used to exploit women. You can understand romance capitalism as the faction of the more expensive dowry, while the new Heisei woman was the anti-marriage and anti-childbearing faction, which placed more emphasis on workplace rights and social status. See, although there were internal disagreements, the broad direction was the same: to elevate women's status and resist traditional.
This is the thing where I've heard in Japan, cheating is very normal, right? In Japan, I don't know if it's true or not, right? But I've heard in Japan, cheating is very normal because it's just unhappiness, right? The wife doesn't really give you much sex or attention, so they said just go handle your business shit. That's what I've heard. So that's the thing.
Constraints. Korea at that time was much the same. Young men and women, influenced by Western currents of thought, pursued individualism,
Western currents of thought, feminism,
and a break from the traditional family. The refined, independent woman was everyone's common ideal. In that era, supporting women in pursuing their own value was a form of absolute political correctness in Japanese and Korean society. Regardless of sex, everyone nodded in agreement. But all this peace and quiet has an ascending economy as its premise. There's a joke online that says Hanzhou can spoil entrepreneurs because the government has money to serve as a safety net. But what about when there's no more money? Japan's economic bubble burst and the lost 2 decades arrived. And Korea? Since the new century, it has faced the double blow of fierce competition from external industries and the 2008 financial crisis. The pressure of intense internal competition was enormous. You might think it was the economy declining, men running out of money to pay the bills, and that's why feminism collapsed. But the truth is far more complex. The transformation of social currents is, in essence, the transformation of the economy and industries. Put simply, the cake was no longer enough to divide. When the cake is big enough, everyone gets along, the sisters get along, and men are willing to spend fortunes for emotional value. Companies are also willing to pay a high premium for social responsibility. In Japan in 1989, a fresh university graduate had on average 2.86 job openings waiting for him. But by 2000, that number had fallen to 0.99, which meant that inevitably someone would be unemployed the moment they graduated. When even survival becomes a problem, any elegance, any ism has to step aside, and the workplace instantly turned into a cruel, deadly survival game. Everyone, men and women, was dragged into this bloody game. And in this extreme internal competition, where only efficiency and dedication matter, a cruel reality emerged. In an environment without rules, where people compete to see who can endure more, who can work themselves to death harder, women became the first group to be eliminated. Saying this may sting a little, but it's a fact. If a company raises work intensity to the maximum, to the 996 regime, or even 0071, without giving a single day off in the month, which group do you think it is, in practice expelling? Many articles say the low employment rate of Japanese women is due to the chauvinistic tradition, but that's only seeing the surface. The core of the matter.
chauvinist tradition, a tradition that you wanted to get into. No one forced women, right, to participate in this supposedly chauvinistic tradition, the workplace. You wonder why. I'm not saying it's necessarily true, but the workplace is made for men. It's made for men, and I guess kind of, right? It's made for men. It's the workplace is just men have dealt with it already, right? Men have survived it. Men have persevered. Men have suffered through it already, or continue to suffer through it. While women, they can't stand it. They can't handle it. It wasn't really meant for them. It wasn't really meant for them. This is why you would see that, you know what? Why women change. They don't go for, like, let's say, hypothetically, STEM fields. They go for, let's say, social work. They go for jobs that is not dominated by men, right? It wasn't geared towards men. It wasn't made with men in mind. Okay? This is why women do social work, which was relatively a job for really majority women, right? Nursing kind of too. I mean, teaching in a way as well.
Matter is the war of internal competition caused by economic decline, which dragged an enormous number of women out of the workforce, and that is what made the traditional option of housewife go from being scorned to becoming a resigned safe harbor. Women were the first to be eliminated in the workplace survival game, but the cake was still not enough to divide. So, among the men, those who didn't dedicate themselves as much also ended up out. This was the birth of the generation we know as Japan's lying flat crowd, Tangping. The radicalization of the feminist movement occurred precisely in this period. They shifted their aim from fighting for their own interest to an indiscriminate attack against all men. What workplace sexual harassment? Everything was amplified infinitely. Even looking at someone one time too many could earn you the label,
Tony, what is up? I don't know why YouTube is unsubscribing me from your channel. Really? YouTube is doing that? Yo, you know what? This is a thing where I think YouTube is trying to attack me, right? I think YouTube is trying to go after small-time male creators, in my opinion, right? But thank you for checking out. Thank you for noticing. Thank you, my brother. But I honestly think, I mean, like, this is the thing. YouTube is making it a hard time for me lately. Did you see the TV series of Iron Fist on Netflix? I did. I didn't really like it, right? You know, the live action, I think we located in Daredevil. I believe it's been a while since I watched it.
of harboring ill intentions. This kind of simplistic and crude street-cursing feminism, though it spread fast, also completely closed off the possibility of communication. The response given by Japanese men can be considered a model of overcoming hardness with softness. The reaction of those lying flat young oxen and horses was sensational. You curse me, you accuse marriage of exploiting women? They immediately nod yes. Right, you're absolutely correct. Marriage is a tomb, it's exploitation. So, as not to exploit you, I resolutely won't marry. You curse me as useless. They instantly stand at attention.
That's the thing, right? My brothers, we don't need to fight with women, right? We will just give them what they wanted. You think men are evil? Fine. Men will stay away. Men won't help you. The death of chivalry. You said marriage is oppressive for women? Fine. Men won't marry you. Creation of passport bros. You think being a mother is ungrateful or whatever, right? Is another oppressive act? Fine. Men won't have kids with you. Right? You can suffer in the loneliness. Go for it. My brothers, let these women go extinct. Let these feminist women go extinct. All right? Focus on yourself. Focus on bettering yourself. Focus on bettering yourself mentally, physically, financially. Get a passport. Travel the world. Open up your dating market. Now, I'm not saying automatically marry a foreign woman. No. But again, open up your dating market so you don't be desperate, right? So you won't be desperate for these women that don't want you anyway. If you have a bigger dating market, you can find a woman that wants you in the world.
No, I'm not a normal man. I'm just a useless one. I'm a guy who tightens screws. Are you done cursing? If you're done, can I go back to lying down? You notice that when your opponent gives up completely on everything, abandoning even his own life, all your accusations and demands are like punches into cotton, instantly losing their point of leverage. Japanese feminism, after so much fuss and so much commotion, discovered that all its demands were built on the foundation of male cooperation. But the other side simply wouldn't play with them anymore.
This is kind of the birth of incels, right? Incels, or I don't know, black pill guys, whatever, who are just giving up. They're not even trying. But I say this, right? I think those two movements, although they are what they are, I'd rather you be a passport bro, right? I'd rather you focus on yourself, better yourself, and travel the world.
The most lamentable part is that women themselves also split. One part, in order to face economic risks, had to return to the family and naturally became the main force of anti-feminism. After all, an ism doesn't fill your belly. And the elite women who survived the workplace slaughter came to openly oppose feminism, because those amplified accusations increased their costs at work, causing their efforts and talents to be dragged down by the label of woman. The former deep sisterhood dissolved in an instant in the face of cruel reality. If Japan dissolved feminism by means of lying flat, then Korea was a gender war of political correctness fought with real weapons. The degree of madness of this war left the whole world in awe. There was also economic decline, there was also the deadly flight of internal competition, but the extreme faction of Korean feminism stepped onto the stage of history. The organization that emerged in 2015 can be considered an extreme feminism of indiscriminate attack, which provoked a desperate counterattack from Korean men. But they did not choose to lie flat. They chose the mode of direct confrontation of defeating magic with magic. Korean feminism said, if in a photo there are more men than women, that's gender discrimination. The Korean men's rights movement chimed in at once. Exactly. It's discrimination, it has to be taken down, and there has to be an apology. But what if the photo put in its place has more women than men? Then that's discrimination against men, see? Come, let's count them one by one. Whenever the number of men and women is different, you're going to be in trouble.
See, this is the thing. That is men's space. All right? You want equality? I'm going to hold you to it. Men's spaces, we point out the hypocrisies. You want equality? You got it. It goes both ways. It goes both ways.
Korean feminism said variety shows can't make jokes about women. The men's rights movement immediately agreed. Absolutely correct. So the shows also can't make jokes about men, right? You wouldn't oppose equality between the sexes, would you? The result was that when everyone started watching the shows with a magnifying glass, variety shows could hardly be produced anymore. Women found that the content they liked to watch decreased. And the men? They themselves didn't watch much variety programming. The most classic case was the rule that treated courting 3 times as a crime. At first, women thought it was to protect themselves and actively promoted it. But when the rule came out, Korean men were overjoyed. Now we don't even need to play the lovesick puppy anymore. We have the perfect excuse to leave immediately after being rejected. Korea's dating and marriage market went straight into menu mode. They come right up and ask whether you like them or not. If you don't accept, they immediately move on to the next, never pestering. If asked, the answer is, I respect women, I never harass. Then it was the turn of many women not to accept. They thought 3 times was too few, that it lost the romance of dating. The Korean men's rights movement countered at once. You're opposing it? Have you thought about the feelings of those women who were harassed? Ah, so you don't support protecting women? See, the high ground of political correctness changed hands in an instant. The climax of this contest of endless debate was the
Exactly. I've said this countless times before, right? There was a point in time where the black community was a patriarchal community. Feminism has poisoned them and made them a matriarchal community. And you see how that has turned out? This is why the black community is at the bottom of the totem pole. I'm not going to let that happen I'm going to do everything I can to call it out, right? Feminism, women in power, all this shit. It's a danger. It's a disease. It's not helpful. It doesn't do anything for us.
Debate over marriage. Korean feminism accused marriage of exploiting women, and the men's rights movement raised the tone even higher. You still want to reform marriage? Then deep down you still want to get married, don't you? Marriage is the oppression of women, very well said. We firmly support not marrying. Whoever marries is a dog. In this crazy contest of who least wants to marry, Korean feminism thought it had victory in the bag. But when the result was revealed, they were stunned. An enormous number of Korean men really did want to marry even less. When the shackles of tradition and responsibility were broken by the feminists' own hands, Korean men discovered that being single was more advantageous for them. So the Korean men's rights movement completely threw off the mask, you nitpick marriage, and I flipped the table first and don't marry. All your bargaining room was zeroed out in an instant. This war soon spread from the internet to reality. In 2018, a company boss was accused of sexual harassment at a restaurant and, with only the victim's testimony, was sentenced to 6 months in prison. This case completely detonated the fury of Korean men. Opinion polls showed that over 76% of Korean men in their
100%. It is poison.
20s opposed feminism. And then came the most bizarre scene in Korean politics. In the by-election for mayor of Seoul in 2021, 72.5% of young men, a group that, in theory, should be the most progressive and most left-wing in society, collectively voted for the Conservative Party, in a proportion that even exceeded that of the elderly over 60. Why? Because the conservatives were anti-feminist, and radical feminism was seen as toxic as terrorism. Lee Jun-seok, 36 years old, was elected in 2021 as leader of Korea's largest opposition party. On March 10, 2022, the acknowledged anti-feminist politician Yoon Suk-yeol, leaning on anti-feminist proposals such as the abolition of the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family, was elected president of Korea by a narrow margin. See, this gender war has already reached the point of being able to sway the highest power of the state. There's a popular saying that a politician's mouth is the ghost that deceives people. After being elected, Yoon Suk-yeol immediately changed his tune, saying he had never incited antagonism and called on the citizens to unite. Both feminism and anti-feminism became pieces in the politician's game, used when needed, able at any moment to be turned into mere pawns.
That's what I hate, right? When you ran on something and people vote for you on that thing, once you're in power, you change your tune. Absolutely worthless. Like politicians have no backbone. They have no backbone.
When not. Korea's gender antagonism conceals behind it the true class rigidity and injustice in distribution. The big conglomerates and politicians are happy to see young people trapped in an internal gender fight because that.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't know. What do you guys think? It's interesting. I've said this, right? We're going to see more and more uprising. We are going to see more of a difference where people are fighting against it. And the Korean women are pissed that their Korean men are now marrying over. Yes, this is the thing. Exactly. Korean men slowly but surely are they're jumping to passport bros. They're jumping to become passport bros. So it's happening. It's happening.
Let me ask you.
All right, let's check out another video. Let's check out another video. All right, let's check this one out.
Very personal question. If you're single, are you interested in getting married? Perfectly fine if you're not. A lot of people these days don't seem to want to. And no, I'm not asking for myself. Let's get that clear right away. But say you were interested, how would you actually go about finding the right person to marry? A setup through family or friends? Dating apps maybe? Or what about a matchmaking service, if that's even a thing where you live? Would you try it? For most of human history, and still in many, many parts of the world, a matchmaker is basically a person, someone older and wise, maybe like your aunt, who for a fee introduces you to people in their network that they think you would click with. It's very personal and human. Now, what if I told you that's not really how things work in South Korea, like at all? Because in South Korea, you don't go to a person, you go to a company, an agency. And chances are, you've already come across one without even being aware of it, because their ads are like absolutely everywhere in Seoul. TV commercials, billboards lining the subway stations. We're talking about a serious industry here. And they seem to be absolutely killing it right now, even in a brutal economic environment. Young Koreans are struggling to find stable jobs, let alone afford a home. The Korean currency, recently sank to its weakest level against the dollar since 2009. Small businesses are under serious pressure, but somehow these agencies seem almost recession-proof, a counter-cyclical business that keeps making money even as the rest of the economy struggles. Take the biggest player, a marriage agency called Duo. Its revenue grew by more than 70% from 2020 to about 48 billion won in 2025, roughly 35 million US dollars. And that's just one company in an industry with around 1,100 registered matchmaking businesses across the country. And recently, Duo made national headlines when the personal records of over 420,000 members got hacked. When I first heard that, I was like, wait, they had over 420,000 members? That's a lot of people wanting to get married. Turns out, nearly 300,000 of those records were old data that Duo was supposed to delete years earlier, but didn't. So the real question is, what was sitting in those files? We'll get to exactly how personal those files were later, because it's gonna blow your mind. Anyway, the consequence for Duo? A fine of 1.2 billion won, or slightly over 800,000 US dollars, for a company generating roughly $35 million in annual revenue. The company was ordered to improve its data protection and notify affected users, but it didn't shut down. And from the outside looking in, at least, the scandal doesn't appear to have derailed the business at all. That's how entrenched this industry appears to have become. Here's the irony though. These agencies keep making more money even as South Korea's long-term marriage rate has collapsed, from around 10 weddings per 1,000 people in the early 1980s to roughly 4 today. And all of this is happening in a country where the fertility rate is still the lowest in the world, at just 0.8 children per woman. So how do these agencies actually work? Why do so many Koreans feel like they need one in the first place? And are they a symptom of Korea's marriage crisis, or are they part of what's making it worse? Or somehow both? Speaking of personal data being stolen, what happened at the Korean marriage agency should be a wake-up call for anyone thinking about protecting their personal data, even if you're not.
Yes, I did. Yes, I created that, right? I wanted a good image, right, of me debating feminism and the black community, right? You couldn't find that. You're not going to be able to find that. So I had to go AI. I had to go AI to create my banner. I hope you guys like it. I think it's a really cool picture. Right? I think it's a really cool picture. I might do some more AI, oriented pictures, because again, it's going to be hard to find, right? It's going to be hard to find the pictures, the kind of images I want, but I think that was cool. Thank you for checking it out.
Korea. Because here's the thing. You don't even have to type your personal information into a random website to be vulnerable. Any company you voluntarily hand your information to, even in person, can store it in a database. And if that database gets hacked, your information can end up in the wrong hands. Now, an entire industry of data brokers, people that they or even take out loans under your stolen data, made it and protect your data from being exploited. 60% take traditional matchmakers turn into corporations, assuming traditional matchmaking practice even existed in Korea in the first place. Yes, it absolutely did exist for a super long period of time out of pure practical necessity. Here's the context. For most of its history, which goes back as far as 2300 BC, by a widely held Korean narrative to a mythical founder named Hangul Clan, which translates to the bone rank system. It was Shilha's aristocratic ranking system, and the idea was that the literal bone you're born with, in other words your bloodline, decided everything for the rest of your life. Who you could marry, what job you could hold, even what you could wear. And marrying outside your rank? Basically forbidden. But what happens when one family just lies about their background? So gradually, this gave rise to the need for a neutral third party, a matchmaker who could objectively size up both families for a fit. These matchmakers were called mepa, which literally translates to go between women, or something like matchmaking granny. Usually old women whose job was knowing everybody, the families, the bloodlines, the reputations and scandals. In a world where one lie about your background could completely wreck a marriage and your social standing forever, the good ones might as well have been private detectives. Now, the specific bone rank system I mentioned earlier died out when the Shilla kingdom fell in 935 AD. But the underlying idea that you marry within your own class and that families have to be vetted before any match carried on in one form or another through every dynasty that...
I do. I use CapCut, especially for like TikTok videos or combining my TikTok videos for my YouTube. Yeah, it's a good app.
Followed right up into modern times. Now, you could also ask, why was marrying within the same class such a big deal? Okay, you have to preserve your bloodline, sure. But I'm not making this up. It's in the royal records. And by the way, this exchange between families still exists in Korea today. It's just evolved. Now the groom is usually expected to provide the house, and if he cannot buy one himself, which almost nobody can afford to anymore, his family chips in to bring that to the table, while the bride is expected to fill the new home with furniture and appliances, the fridge, the washing machine, and often buys her husband an expensive watch as part of the hunsu. We're talking a lot of money here. So with the stakes this high, the matchmaker had to evolve too. The well-connected grandma doing favors for the neighborhood was about to become something far more professional and a lot more cutthroat. Fast forward again to the 1970s and 80s. Korea, or South Korea by this point, is no longer a dynasty with strictly enforced class divisions. Slavery had been officially abolished back in 1894, the same sweeping reform that scrapped the old class system. There's actually a fascinating story here about how the slaves were freed and why a huge chunk of Koreans today share the same surnames, Kim, Lee, and Park, but that's a whole other topic. Let me know if you're interested. Anyway, by the 70s and 80s, the country is urbanizing at lightning speed. The economy is booming, and people are pouring out of the countryside into the capital, Seoul. A brand new district called Gangnam, which literally means south of the river, well, the money was long gone. The government tried crackdowns. They mostly failed, because the victims were wealthy families too embarrassed to admit they had been scammed, so they wouldn't cooperate. In 1983 alone, there were over 100 reported cases. They're the number one. And the battle got so heated that in 2023, Gayeon actually sued Duo in court, trying to ban Duo's ads that bragged about having... So let's say you're thinking about getting
Evil Eddie, what is up, my brother?
married and want to look for the right partner. You quickly find out that going out to bars and clubs or using dating apps might not be the best way to meet someone for a serious relationship. So you basically ask your friends or colleagues to introduce you or set you up with someone on blind dates, which is actually the most socially accepted way of meeting someone new in South Korea. But then you exhaust those blind date opportunities as well. Couldn't find the one that you wanted to settle down with. Now what do? Enter the marriage information companies, matchmaking agencies. This could be your last shot. So you book a free consultation online, and on the day of the booking, you show up at their fancy office. Next thing you know, you're sitting across from a couple manager who starts asking some basic questions to fill out your basic information. Except the questions aren't basic at all. You're about to be interrogated in the most personally intrusive way possible, more than you've ever experienced at a job interview or even applying for a loan at a bank. You're about to fill out the spec sheet. Let's go through what's on it. I'll just list them out, not in any particular order. Your age, your height and weight, your education level, the name of the college you attended, your job title, and your exact income before tax, your total savings, your total assets, and even how much debt you're carrying. Whether you own your home and where it is it in Gangnam or outside of Seoul? your religion, your family environment, whether your parents are divorced, and even whether they're financially independent in retirement, because apparently nobody wants to inherit the burden of supporting your in-laws, the number of siblings you have, and what they do for a living. You get the idea? That's like everything. Well, if you're a guy, they will also ask you about your hairlines and whether you're going bald, but we'll come back to that one. Now, you might be wondering, can people just lie about all this, inflate their salary, and fudge their job title a little bit? This is where these agencies separate themselves from a dating app. They make you prove it, and you cannot join unless you do. You submit official paperwork, your graduation certificate to verify your school, an employment certificate, and tax records to verify your job and your real income. Oh, and here's a uniquely Korean one, a certificate proving you're actually single, because in South Korea, your marital status is an official government record. So if you try to pass yourself off as single and never married, they will know the moment you've been divorced. Some agencies even have you sign an authorization form so they can run background checks through official government channels. And the high-end noblesse agencies, the ones whose entire pitch is matching the genuinely wealthy, go even further. Property registries, bank documents, even company financial statements if you own a business. I've seen examples of crypto millionaires getting rejected because they couldn't prove the value of their crypto holdings, or because that kind of wealth just wasn't considered stable enough.
Wow, that is some very thorough dating matchmaking agency. I mean, to do all that, your tax record and all that shit, pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy if you think about it. But hey, whatever gives the members the comfort that everybody in the pool is verified. And here's how all that information gets transformed into a scoring, ranking, and tier system. Now, I have to make this clear. Every agency has a different proprietary system for how they score and rank members into different tiers. Officially, none of these agencies admit that they grade people, and we have no way of verifying whether that's true or not. But think about it. To match people of similar standing, you have to assign a grade and rank them in the first place. There's just no way around it if you have to systemize the whole operation across tens of thousands of members. This is like the worst kept open secret in Korea. Every Korean knows what to expect if they ever sign up with these agencies, okay? As a matter of fact, there was a popular...
This is a thing where I always hate it when women, like American women, right, hate that men grade women. Let's be honest, everyone does, right? We all grade each other, right? It may be different, and medium ugly, handsome, ugly kind of rate, or 1 to 10, or ABC, whatever, right? We all grade each other. It's part of the dating market mentality.
TV show in South Korea in 2023 where they revealed an actual marriage agency scoring sheet. It's out of 100, and let me break down all the components. For a man, out of 100 points, his job is worth 30, his education 25, his family background 20, his personal wealth another 20, and his looks 5 points.
Okay, looks is 5 points. I think that's a lie. I think that's a lie. To be honest, I would say looks are I would say looks are 20, right? Then maybe, I don't know. I mean, Korea is such a physical kind of nation, right? It's very a superficial nation. So, in my opinion, I'll be surprised that they rank looks so low. Binary would do, 0 would not do. Is binary, huh? 1 or 0. Okay.
That's it. So for a guy, 95% of his entire value comes down to his career, his school, his family's wealth, and his money. His appearance is basically a rounding error. Now, for a woman, out of the same 100 points, her appearance alone is worth 40. Family counts for 20.
Okay,
her job,
maybe that
20.
Makes sense.
Her education, just 10. And her wealth...
Maybe that makes sense. Yeah, 40. It makes sense.
10. So here you can see how a woman's looks are weighted more than her job and her education combined. Bear in mind, this scoring sheet was just one example, publicly disclosed back in 2023, and these systems have almost certainly kept evolving since then. So what does the top of the food chain actually look like? From our research, here's who lands in the top tier, what they call S tier. For a man, it's almost all about status and wealth. The 3 most prized professions are lawyers, doctors, and CEOs. So imagine this. A doctor in his mid to late 30s, graduated from Seoul National University, which is basically Korea's Harvard. He makes over 200 million won a year, around 140,000 US dollars, which puts him in roughly the top 1 to 2% of all earners in the country. For comparison, the typical Korean worker earns about a fifth of that. And on top of all that, his father is also a doctor with property in Gangnam. A guy like that can essentially be matched with almost any woman he wants. Then there's the almost untouchable ultra VIP level, the founder CEOs and the sons of chaebol families worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The problem is, there just aren't very many of these men, but pretty much all women signing up with the agency wants to match with them. So when you get
80% of women want 20% of men, right? And in some cases, they only want the 10% of men, right? That is reality across the board. That is thanks to feminism. That is thanks to feminism, right? Majority of women want the select few of men. The Korean delusion calculator, exactly.
to these top S-tier guys, the disparity becomes stark. They have way too many options. What about S-tier for a woman? The single biggest factors are her age and her appearance, though increasingly her background, as in how rich her parents are, is being considered also. Either way, the beauty standard to land in S-tier is sky high. You basically have to be good looking enough to pass for a model, an actress, or a K-pop idol. In fact, the professions that tend to score highly on appearance are ones like flight attendant, TV news anchor, or anything in entertainment. And ideally, they are in their early to late 20s. As for the age thing, this actually points to a fascinating shift happening in the Korean marriage market right now. For years, the stereotype of these agencies was that they were for people in their 30s and 40s. There was this whole gold mist phenomenon, Korea's version of the girl boss. You know, women who focus on their careers through their 30s and then turn to an agency to find a husband once they were established. But according to the agency's own numbers, more and more women are now signing up in their early 20s, some still in college. At Kayan, signups from people in their 20s have climbed every year to an all-time high. Now, to be clear, people in their 30s and 40s are still the core of the market, but the 20-something surge is making the marriage market even more competitive, and the agencies have a pretty blunt explanation for it. These younger women, they say, are less focused on career and more focused on locking down a good partner early while they...
This is the result of feminism right here, where women are finding that I have to work. I have to work. You know how hard it is to work? You know how hard it is to provide for yourself? Women are finding that, you know what? Feminism isn't what it's all cracked up to be. Women are finding that out. That it sucks. It sucks out in the real world. So younger women, right? You see by what he's saying, younger women are, you know what? I want to lock down a good guy. I want to lock down a provider now, right? My brothers, that's the thing. All right. Feminism is it's a poison, but it's weak.
Their market value is at its peak. Those aren't my words. That's a theme being repeated by the agencies themselves. And it speaks to the brutal market logic underneath all of this. Because when the S-tier guys at the top have their pick, and they're choosing specifically for marriage and kids, the agencies say that the track record is clear. Given the choice between an accomplished woman in her mid-30s and a younger woman in her 20s, a lot of these men go for the younger option.
Because what does your accomplishment mean? This is same. It's feminism everywhere. It don't matter where you're from. What does your accomplishment mean? You know, women can't even explain it, right? Women can't even defend it. What does your accomplishment mean? What does your career mean? What does your degree mean? What does your money mean? You're not providing for him? You're not really taking off any financial burden from him? So the crazy thing is that you're probably giving him just as much financial burden as a broke girl, right? You're most likely giving him as much financial burden as a broke woman. So what's the point? What does your college degree do when, you know what? A lot of women, I believe it was in America, 50 to 60% of women they choose, right, to stop working after they have a child. They choose to, right? Choice. About 50 to 60% of women choose to stop working themselves. Nobody's forcing them. Hell, I think a lot of times men would still want them to work. But women want to be stay-at-home wives, want to be stay-at-home moms. So you spent all this money, you got all this debt for a degree that you don't want to use anymore. So your degree means what? Your career means what? Your accomplishment means what? When men have to pay for the date, men have to pay for all the luxuries, all the necessities, men have to provide. It's like in a day and age, in a country that is extremely feminist, they still expect traditional values. They still expect a man to be traditional. Just like America. That is the weakness of feminism, right? That is the illogicalness of feminism. That is the emotional irrationality, right, of feminism. Right? Exactly that.
That's the uncomfortable reality the whole scoring system is built around. At this point, I don't want to give you the impression that guys are screwed and can't get matched at all unless they're millionaires. The vast majority of men signing up with these agencies are hardworking guys with stable jobs who genuinely want to meet a good woman, get married, and start a family. Same with the women. Not everyone can look like a Korean actress, right? Most members are just normal people. But at the same time, there are things that can completely sink you. Disqualifier, so to speak, where the agencies won't even take your application even if you beg them. Let's focus on men here since that's the more common case. Basically, if you're unemployed, you're very likely to get rejected outright. And if you're self-employed or a freelancer, you'll have a much harder time, sometimes turned away entirely, even if you can prove you make great money. Because for these agencies, it's not just about how much money you make, it's whether that income is stable and verifiable. We've also heard from industry sources that a man significantly below average height, say under 160 centimeters or 5'3", will likely get rejected no matter how solid his job title is.
5'3". God, that is. I feel bad for men under 5 foot, or I mean, under 5'6". I really do, right? I feel really bad for men under 5'6", right? I think, I don't know. You better make enough money that can stack up higher than a basketball player, right? Because, man, society will not be kind to you. And 5'3" is insane.
And there's one other interesting trait from men that might not get you disqualified right away, but can cost you major deduction points. And this one applies no matter how much you earn or how tall you are. Can you guess what that is? It's boldness. That's right. In the Korean marriage market, hair loss is a serious liability. And if you think I'm blowing this out of proportion, in late 2025, South Korea's president actually directed his government to look into whether the national health insurance system should start covering treatment for common male pattern baldness. He called it, and I'm quoting here, a matter of survival for young people in such a competitive appearance-obsessed society. So the moment you walk into a marriage agency, don't be surprised if one of the first things they bring up is your hairline. And here's the thing. It's not like these marriage agencies enjoy pointing out people's flaws or rejecting certain guys. Remember, they've got years of data. They can often tell right away if a certain profile is going to be tough to match because there just won't be enough women willing to meet him. For them, it's a simple matter of supply and demand in a brutally competitive market. So by turning some people away and stacking their roster with safer, more average members who will match, they push up their overall success rate. And the success rate, ironically, becomes one of their best marketing tools. So let's say you pass a screening, you're verified, and they've got a pretty good idea of which tier you belong to. What does it actually cost to join? And what do you get for it? For most regular people joining the big agencies like Duo and Gaeon, you're looking at somewhere between 2 to 4 million won, roughly 1,500 to 3,000 US dollars. And
God damn, you might as well just get your passport. I mean, like, seriously. Spending 3,000 and you're not, there's no sure thing. It's like, I would say just get a passport.
This isn't a yearly membership. It buys you a set number of introductions, usually around 5. So you're basically paying somewhere around $400 to $600 per well-vetted blind date. And once you run out, you pay again. That's just the basic service. And Duo keeps raising those basic fees 2 years in a row now, citing rising costs. But here's what's interesting. Even within the same service, the price isn't the same for everybody. It really depends on how desirable you are. A model-looking woman in her mid-20s or high-earning professionals or super wealthy men may pay less or in some cases get recruited for free because the agency wants them in the pool to attract everybody else. Meanwhile, someone who's harder to match or with very specific demands could end up paying more for the same introductions. So your spec sheet doesn't just decide who you get to meet. It decides what you have to pay to meet them. Now, say you don't want the basic service and just a few introductions. You want the VIP treatment, the full package. Those programs start around 10 million won, about $7,000. And at the very top, Duo's high-end service runs up to 50 million won, roughly $36,000. At that level, you get dedicated managers, hand-picked introductions, exclusive parties, the whole works. And remember, you can't even buy your way in. You have to qualify with the right specs. So no wonder these agencies make so much money, right? Members pay anywhere from a few thousand to tens of thousands of dollars, and you multiply that across tens of thousands of members. They're practically printing money. So what happens to the marriage market when this kind of all-out competition to be matched with the right person in the right tier becomes normalized?
This is why, shit like this is why I don't give a whole lot of credence when people say, oh, I make 100K and I live paycheck to paycheck, or, you know, life is too expensive, or life, you know, things are just too expensive and all that shit. When, if you can pay for shit like this, you are a liar. If you can pay for vacations, if you can pay for all this shit, it's hard for me to believe that, you know, you're struggling. It really is. Right?
When an entire generation absorbs the idea that love is a zero-sum game, you win or lose based on your spec sheet. Does a system like that actually help people find each other, or is it quietly making Korea's marriage problem worse? That's what we need to talk about next. Let's zoom out for a second and look at the broad stats. In South Korea, the number of marriages fell from 329,000 in 2011 to 192,000 in 2022. That's a 41% collapse in a single decade. And of course, this is against the backdrop of South Korea's infamous birth rate, or more accurately, the fertility rate, which is just the average number of children a woman is expected to have in her lifetime. South Korea's fertility rate as of 2025 sits at 0.8 children per woman, the lowest in the entire world. Considering that you need about 2.1 children per woman just to replace the parents and keep the population at the same level, South Korea is basically headed for the population implosion that may be almost impossible to reverse. That's the context. So what exactly is the message these marriage agencies are sending to the public? Regardless of their intentions, the message is this: you need to be competitive in the marriage market just to get a chance to be introduced to someone. That if you're a guy, you need to be at least a certain height. That you need a stable job and enough savings just to be considered average enough to spark it.
Red pill ideology right there, right? This is what I'm saying. Red pill isn't about misogyny. Red pill isn't about misogyny. Okay? Red pill isn't about hating women. That's not red pill. Red pill is about telling you what reality is. Okay? Red pill is to wake you up from reality. That is red pill. It's to wake you up from the matrix, right? And show you what reality is. Reality is that women are superficial. They judge you on your looks. They judge you on your height. They judge you on your wealth, right? And then they judge you on even more criteria. Well, at the end of the day, what do you get from these women? What do you get from these women? Decently attractive sometimes, probably sometimes not. Average looking, fives, right? They look like fives. Or you know what? You have to still, you still have to contribute domestically. You still have to provide for them. You still have to contribute to childcare. So really, you're just a feminist provider. That is what Red Pill is telling men, right? About the inequality. They're not telling you to hate women. No, they're telling you, wake up. This is the mirror, right? This is the real world. Lenny, what is up, my brother? Yes, Red Pill is about truth of reality. Exactly. It's telling you that the reality today is that women expect you to be a modern man with traditional values. A modern man. The equality mindset, right? Equality mindset, liberal mindset, yet also have traditional values. You better provide for her. This is the problem we're having. Average ass women. The majority of women are average ass women, yet they want almost perfect men. That is red pill. That is red pill. To wake men up to the reality of the dating market, right? To wake men up to the reality of the world.
Any interest from the other side. So what do you do when you're told you're not even average enough to register because you happen to be between jobs, or you don't have much in savings since you're pouring everything into the business you're building, for example? You might feel judged, humiliated, or you just accept it as a reality of how things work in South Korea. Maybe you even self-filter and don't bother showing up to one of these agencies at all because you already know what they're going to say. And the result is that a lot of young Koreans, those who already struggle to find a decent job out of college and who know they will likely never afford a home in Seoul, just check out of the whole system. They tell themselves and their families and friends, yeah, I'm just not gonna get married. Marriage and kids are too expensive anyway. And look, here at Asian Boss, we've done enough street interviews across South Korea over the years to see this firsthand. The vast majority said they didn't want to get married, and when we asked them why, the answer always came back to money. Now, earlier when I walked you through what was on the spec sheet, I said you have to write down everything, right? Well, that's not quite true. Sure, they'll make you provide evidence for all your externally verifiable traits, your job, your income, your assets, but there's a whole category of things they don't really bother finding out about up front. What are your values? What do you actually want out of life? Do you have any history of mental illness or any bad habits? What kind of character or personality are you looking for in a partner? How much are you willing to accommodate and sacrifice?
Because they only care about superficial traits, right? They only care about superficial traits. That is the feminism for you, right? No, women aren't asking what's your moral values, what's your character, what's your personality. No. What's your bank account? How tall are you? Right? What's your job?
For someone else. You know, all the intangible stuff that's arguably way more important than the surface level criteria. To be fair to the agencies, most of them would actually agree that these things matter more. But they would say it's up to the members to discover all that once they match and go on a date, knowing the other person has at least been vetted on the basics and is in the same tier. They would argue that this is simply how the marriage market in South Korea works, and that this is exactly why people join to meet partners with a certain background. They say they're just facilitating market demand, and if you don't like being judged on external traits, well, they say you're free to go find someone on your own in a more natural environment, which sounds fair enough, right? Nobody's forcing anyone to join. But the reality for a lot of Koreans is that these agencies have become their last resort. And when it's your last resort, you don't really have the luxury of refusing to be judged. I suppose this does raise a bigger question about how South Korea became such a spec-driven society in the first place. A place where you're effectively building a resume from an early age just to compete for the right marriage partner. Long gone is the old ideal that two people simply come together to build something meaningful, to struggle and grow side by side. Instead, it's become all about optics. How people will judge you as a newlywed if you don't buy into the right apartment complex in the right neighborhood. Imagine the horror of having to tell your in-laws that you will just be renting a small studio in a low-rise walk-up with no doorman. They might even call off the whole wedding for making their daughter suffer like this. You think I'm joking, but I've actually seen this happen to some of my friends, and it's more common than you think. And then there's the wedding ceremony itself.
Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. If that's the thing where people don't understand the pressure that's on men's shoulders, right? Men are viewed on their accomplishments. Men are viewed on their accomplishments. Women are viewed on their beauties. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing when that majority of men find majority of women beautiful. Majority of men find majority of women attractive. It's not that hard. It is not that hard for a man to find a woman attractive. Yet, you cannot imagine how hard it is to have accomplishments, to have some resources. It is extremely hard to have resources when resources are kind of finite, right? And when it comes to resources, there's competition, right? There's competition for the resources, for the level of resources. So dating has always been harder for men.
Which is mainly designed to show off what kind of person you're marrying or what kind of family you're marrying into. The ceremony alone, which includes the whole hire and the food for guests, can run anywhere from $10,000 at a regular venue to $30,000 at a hotel. And if you want to get married at the Shilla Hotel in Seoul, the dream venue for just about every Korean out there, the total bill, the venue, food for 500 guests, flowers, lighting, the whole works, can run around 150,000 US dollars. And it's not uncommon for couples to actually borrow money to pull all this off. In one recent survey of the couples who paid their own way, nearly 60% took out loans, and almost 40% of them borrowed more than half of what the wedding cost. Getting married, in other words, has quietly become the end game in South Korea rather than the start of a long shared journey of responsibility and sacrifice. So what do you think happens to the couple who get matched this way through an agency, prioritizing each other's specs over shared values, treating the wedding itself as the finish line to be financed? Do they live happily ever after? Well, let's see. First of all, if you look at the viral headlines floating around Korean social
What's up? What's up? The pro-male collective. That's interesting.
media, based on recent census data from 2022 and 2023, South Korea's divorce to marriage ratio reportedly approached a staggering 50%. That sounds like 1 in 2 marriages end up in a divorce. But the reality is a little more nuanced than that once you look into the methodology. If you look at the raw data for a single calendar year, South Korea recorded roughly 91,000 divorces alongside roughly 222,000 marriages. So of course, if you blindly divide those two numbers, it spits out a 45 to 50% ratio. But not all of those 91,000 divorces are coming from the newlyweds who tied the knot that same year. They're drawing from decades of accumulated past marriages. So the more accurate way of assessing the divorce rate is to look at who is actually splitting up. Turns out, there's a massive wave of what Koreans call newlywed divorce. According to the official data from Statistics Korea, couples who split up within their first 4 years of marriage accounts for a staggering 16.7% of all divorces in the country. You know what that means? That means nearly 1 out of every 6 divorces in South Korea happens to couples who haven't even celebrated their 4th year anniversary. That might not sound as crazy as the overall 50% myth, but it's still pretty discouraging, don't you think? You spent all that money at matchmaking agencies to vet your potential partner, making sure you belong in the same tier with similar family expectations, and yet 1/6 of them cannot even make it past 4 years. Could it be that this is the literal consequence of treating the wedding as the finish line? So that the moment real life stress hits and you realize you don't actually share the same values or vision, everything just falls apart?
And I guarantee you, like America, right? Like America, they probably, it's majority women, right? Majority women are the ones who are divorcing. I think so.
I don't know, just a thought. The younger generation in South Korea isn't stupid either. They see their friends taking out crippling debt just to clear the baseline social requirements of a respectable wedding, just to watch those same marriages fall apart a few years later because they were built on specs rather than actual substance. The bottom line is, while the agencies can say they're just facilitating a trend that already exists and that they're genuinely helping people find partners, you could just as easily argue the opposite. By pricing marriage and putting it on a scorecard, they're not just reflecting a materialistic society, they're formalizing it and even glorifying it. We know this because with the rise of YouTube in South Korea, a new wave of boutique.
That's the thing, right? I agree. I mean, this is a thing where we don't understand. That's why I said feminism is a poison. I've said this. Feminism is a poison. They don't realize how important strong men are, right? We don't live in a kind of a peaceful utopia world, right? Where every single person gets along. We don't live in that kind of world. A society needs strong men. It's just a weak society is looking to just be conquered and destroyed. And this is why I constantly advocate against feminism. Because feminism is the promotion to weaken men, right? It's the propaganda, it's the actions to weaken men.
And mid-sized matchmaking agencies is winning through viral content instead of the old TV ad and billboard model. And they're very open about assessing and grading people's specs and marriage prospects right there on camera. In 2020,
exactly, I agree. And this is the result of it, right? Where we are, I don't know, putting down men.
26, this has even evolved into a form of entertainment where YouTube viewers can submit their own specs to be graded and critiqued by these agencies on camera for everybody to laugh along, mostly at the shocking lack of self-awareness from the applicants who think they deserve high scores. Again, I want to be fair to these agencies. In the end, they're legitimate businesses capitalizing on a very real market demand. They provide a service that thousands of stressed out, time-crunched people are actively looking for. And some of them, especially the founder-led boutique agencies, do seem to operate out of genuine principles. You will often see these founders reminding their viewers to lower their expectations and to remember that a human being cannot be entirely judged by externally verifiable specs on a resume. Speaking of expectations, I've already mentioned what's considered average for marriage is now totally getting out of control. But let me just give you one more example of how skewed the perception is becoming. Today, there's still very much of an expectation held by Korean women and their families that the men should be the one to provide a house for the marriage. And
this is the thing where this is the problem we're facing, right? High expectations, low value. You are average as shit, right? Modern day women are average as shit, and yet expecting above average men. That's the problem. That's the problem we're having, where we are dealing with an epidemic of average women with above average expectations. All right? That is the problem. Absolutely ridiculous. And that is the root, that is the poison of feminism. It is poisoning women's brains.
not just any house, a nice 2 to 3 bedroom, high-rise apartment that can easily go for almost $1 million in Seoul. Whether or not that's a spillover effect from the historical traditions we talked about earlier, when you place an expectation like that on men in their 20s, 30s, or even 40s, it becomes an impossible financial hurdle that will completely turn them off from marriage. Unless you have wealthy parents, no guy in his 20s and 30s can afford to buy $1 million apartment with his savings alone, even if his earnings are in the top 5%. So all these expectations on Korean men are actually manifesting in an interesting way, very interesting way. International marriage. An increasing number of South Korean.
We talked about this already, right? My brothers, right? Stop dealing with these egotistical average-ass women. Stop dealing with these egotistical average-ass women. Get your shit up for yourself, right? Become the best version of yourself for yourself, right? Best version of yourself financially. Best version of yourself physically, mentally, and get a passport, right? That, right? The passport, right? For men is what the threat, right? It's how we combat feminism, right? That's how we combat feminism. We let these feminists die out. Big bars, what is up, my brother? What is up? We let these feminists die out, right? We get a passport. We open our dating market to the world. We travel, we can pick from a bigger dating pool, right? Korean men are doing it. Chinese men are doing it, right? American men are doing it. My brothers, join the passport bros, right? Get your passport, open your dating market to the world. These women, right, will fear it. These women will suffer for it. They may think they may put down passport bros. That's because they fear it, right? Because now no longer average men are desperate for average women. Nah, we ain't desperate for the breadcrumbs, for the crap these women put on us, because the dating market for average men will be opened, right, to the rest of the world. And you think that other women won't value you? That's a fucking lie. That's a lie, right? You can be an average man making an average earning, and other women, right, will value you.
And men are now bypassing the domestic marriage agencies.
All that support, I love it, right? Evil Eddie, get yourself an Asian woman.
Entirely to marry non-Korean women. Remember how I said earlier that the marriage rate declined 41% in a single decade, hitting that historic low in 2022? Well, by 2024, the total number of marriages in Korea suddenly increased by nearly 15% in a single year. And one of the defining structural trends driving this new landscape was international marriages rising for the 3rd consecutive year. The top countries these women are from are Vietnam at number 1, followed by China, Thailand, and Japan. According to the latest census data, multicultural unions now account for nearly 10% of all new marriages registered in the country. That is a massive demographic shift. The most reported reasons for this boom are largely anecdotal, so take this at face value. But most Korean men surveyed said that the women they married didn't have unreasonable financial expectations like demanding $1 million apartment. They often opt for small weddings that don't require taking out a loan, choosing instead to start building their lives together modestly. Oh, and there's another super interesting stat that actually helps explain the
And that's what I'm saying, right? Average women with average expectations. I've always said this, right? This channel isn't for the high value men. I don't cater to high value men. This channel is for average men. Average men, all right? Good average men. Because at the end of the day, nobody cares about average men. Nobody. This is why I make that change, right? I make average men's voices heard. Okay? This is why. This is why I support good average men. No one cares about average men. No one cares about the majority of men. Right? We always talk about the high value men, but no, not here. I don't really talk about high value men like that. Here, we focus on the hardships, right, of average men.
recent rebound in South Korea's total fertility rate. Turns out, international couples once married in South Korea are simply having more babies. In fact, births from international couples suddenly soared by over 10%. One reason for this could be that non-Korean women are far less exposed to the intense social pressures regarding private education and hyper-competitive child rearing. They aren't spending thousands of dollars a month to send toddlers to English preschools. Whatever the exact reason, they seem far less shackled by the rigid expectations that apply to native Koreans, and as a result, they see more opportunities for their next generation in South Korea. The difference in perspective is truly fascinating. This is becoming such a mainstream trend and narrative that even the matchmaking agencies are planning their next moves. Obviously, if more Korean men bypass the marriage agencies altogether, that means female members are going to suffer from a shrinking pool of qualified men, right? So to adapt, the industry...
You hear that, my brothers? You hear that? The passport bro is a threat to feminism. The passport bro is a threat to feminism. That is why I continuously prop up the passport bro, because I know that is a threat to feminism, right? With men opening up their dating market and allowing women's dating market to shrink while men's dating market grows, that is a danger to feminism, right? We let these feminists go extinct. You want to be your strong, independent self? All the more power to you, right? For Korea, you want to do your 4B movement? Go for it. Passport bro all the way.
is seeing a massive surge in specialized...
Exactly. Any man that doesn't fall in line is a threat. You are a feminist. My brothers, get your passport. Travel the world. Don't let these feminists win. All right?
premium international matchmaking divisions. Their next big target market? Japan. Specifically, matching Korean men with Japanese women. This follows the latest official demographic reports showing that international marriages between Korean men and Japanese women increased by more than 26% in 2025 alone, while the first-time marriage rate between Korean men and Korean women effectively hit its lowest baseline since 1970. This record-setting trajectory is a massive wake-up call for industry insiders. So what does all this mean? The truth is, the Korean matchmaking industry is both a symptom and a cause of the falling marriage and birth rates, a devastating feedback loop, if you will. They're a symptom of a deeply rooted historical obsession with status, but they became...
This is the thing where I love hearing these things, these stories where, you know what? We hear the results of feminism, right? Declining birth rates, declining marriage rates, and we're seeing the consequences, or we're seeing the adaptation that men are doing, right? Men have suffered thanks to feminism. So men adapt. Men have adapt, right? Men have seen the poison of feminism, the dangers of feminism, so men adapt. They created Redpill. They created Passport Bro, right? They created even a MGTOW. Because that right there is to deal with feminism. And I'm all supporting it. We got to combat feminism because it's a poison in this earth. Guys, thank you all for checking out thank you guys for being here. I love it. Thank you guys for being here. All right, so let's those were some Asian themed videos, right? We are going to do some Kendra G. We are going to end out on some Kendra G videos.
All right, spending a week with your grandparents.
Whose face do I see first?
We are going to end out on some Kendra G videos. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for checking out the live. You guys are amazing. I love you. But yeah, let's check out some Kendra G video. Let's check this one out.
Hello? Oh, hi. Okay. Ooh, don't find my pen. MJ, where you calling me from?
So I live in Texas, Dallas, Texas.
Texas, Dallas. How old are you?
I'm 28.
28. And what you do for a living?
I work in healthcare. I'm a monitor tech.
Healthcare. MJ, Texas, Dallas. What's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Scorpio.
Scorpio. You have any kids?
No kids.
That's right. Ooh, someone says she's right. Let me pin this one. No kids. You ever been married?
No.
Never married. Pin comment. I think I got it all. Here we go. MJ, Dallas, Texas. Oh, girl, what you doing?
I dropped my phone. I'm trying to hang you up, so it's like I'm not holding it. So.
Okay, there we go. We got MJ, Dallas, Texas, 28, Scorpio, works in healthcare, no kids, never married. What kind of man you looking for, girl?
So I'm looking for a man who's open-minded, who's non-judgmental, someone who's passionate, and beyond healthcare. I'm also a content creator. I have dabbled in like the grown folks business. I don't know if I can do adults industry.
Another OF. Another woman that has entered OF.
Oh,
okay.
You're a content creator and the adult. Are you a porn artist?
I wouldn't say that. I would say just like the, OF kind of vibe. That makes sense.
You have an OnlyFans page?
Absolutely, yeah.
So what do you do on your OnlyFans page?
So I would say like 95% is solo, but I have collaborated with other people, but like no penetration basically.
So what are you doing solo? Are you clothed or no clothing?
Oh yeah, no clothing.
No clothing?
Yeah.
What type of man you think you're getting as an OF content creator? Absolutely stupid.
I just like to be honest. That's kind of one of the barriers that I've come to when it comes to dating, and I'm, aware of that, and it is a lot to take on. So I'm very transparent when it comes to that, for sure.
How much do you charge a month? I'm so intrigued.
You're fine. For my page, I charge about $11 at the moment.
$11?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, you have no clothes on and you only charge $11. This is why. Let me tell you something. Listen. Do you? Well, $11 and they get to see your vagina?
So there's like private things that are sent privately to people to unlock for more. And then
how much is the big shebang?
Depending on what I do, because I don't make like in-depth long videos of me solo, but let's just say it's a minute, it can go from $60 to $80 for one video.
Yeah.
we got transparent. We can all see her butthole for 11.
You got to make it higher. This is the problem, okay?
You got to make it higher. Why don't you just be an actual adult star then? It's like literally these women are just showing nudes. That's what she's showing. So nudes is what? Have it higher. Kendra's like absolutely ridiculous. But here's the thing where, to be honest, this is a woman that, let's be honest, she's a 4, right? She looks pretty fat. Oh my God. And this is the insanity. These average ass women doing OF. Right? And I've said this, right? This channel is for good men, right? But not for all men. This is why I don't think I will ever get big, right? I don't think I will ever get big because this channel isn't for all men. Because the men that would pay for this woman's, right? For her, I don't know, services, is not the type of men I'm talking about, right? It's not the type of men I support, because you are desperate. You are desperate men. You are men that are controlled by lust and women. You are men that are controlled by your degeneracy. $11 a month or whatever. You can put that money into investment. You can build that money. You can do it like $11 every day, every month. All right? But what are you going to do? You're going to pay $11 to see a fat woman's body. Are you stupid? There's literally free porn out there. There is free shit, right? Yeah, you're going to pay $11 to see a fat woman naked. You are stupid. You're not just a degenerate. You're not just a simp. You are also stupid. Absolutely idiotic.
This is why men be like, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. This is why.
Yeah, I agree. Ladies, correct. All the free shit. And you're paying for a fat woman's body? I mean, like, seriously. You can look that up for free. Because the only reason why men would pay for her, because they fallen in love with her. The girlfriend experience. That makes you more of a simp. That makes you more of a degenerate. That you think a woman online that's taking your $11 actually care about you. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's hard to get a man to hit up you and get pleased and, get satisfied. And then from there, he's had his enjoyment from the day. So he doesn't need it for a live woman necessarily. 800 for you. Come in, take her out, pick her up, maybe bring her to a concert, like a night, right? Dinner, movie, concert. Well, I guess it could be something. Let's just say between $200, $800. But if a lot of times when men are, the prize for men at times is the sexual interaction. Like he's courting the woman for the ultimate prize. But if he could just go to OnlyFans for $11 and get to the ultimate prize, why does he have to take a woman out on a date and all these other things? So it's just another component of how our dating, how the dating game has changed so much.
Absolutely, I definitely agree. So I mean, as far as to comment, because this is not really a question, but yeah, I completely understand what you're saying. A lot of men move with lust, and a lot of men have intention. A lot of men are open to, women who are not quote unquote vanilla. A lot of men like quote unquote freaks, what have you. Not to say I'm saying I'm queen freak or anything, but I feel like a lot of people do a lot of things, or women do a lot of things, whether that being secret promiscuity and whether that being open promiscuity. And I feel like if you're transparent with a man, I'm to my reach when it comes to dating. And so with the window being so small, I reach to avenues, for example, like you, just to kind of open up the fishnet to see who would be open to it, who would be comfortable for it, because not everyone is. And I understand that. And I don't compromise anyone's morals. I don't convince men, give me a chance. I work, I live my life, I grow within myself, mentally, physically, emotionally, and I find happiness in that. One of the biggest things is not looking for a man. It was only mostly created because of not only trauma, because it's like a kink that I have. I have a recording kink. Everyone has their own kink. So if me and my partner, boyfriend, husband do get into a lifestyle, if I find one, open if I do, open if I don't, it's not the end of the world. I would like to make whole movies, like, text you a script, you come home, I'm going to be a maid tonight, babe, and make our own movies that I wouldn't necessarily share, but have like a private collection where Friday we watch a movie, I cook dinner, it's very spicy. I'm just a very spicy individual.
I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's like, this is a thing where a lot of women are their own worst enemy, right? A lot of women are their own worst enemy. One, your profession. One, you are, by your own words, a freak. What type of man you think you're going to get? You will essentially get the players and bad boys. The men that want to pump and dump. Essentially. Because one, you need a man that will be comfortable with you sharing your body online. Right? You need a man to be comfortable with it. And I'm sorry, no good man is truly comfortable with that shit. Right? At least not a smart good man. Right? So the men that will be comfortable with that is a simp or a player. Pretty much the only two, right? You have to be a simp, right? Because you're a weak ass man, or a player. You don't give a shit what she does because you only want to pump and dump.
I don't just do it for the money. I do it because it's fun. I enjoy my sexuality and my character in a sense, but people have different sides.
Okay, to give it up, would you date a subscriber? Like if there's a man that is, I don't know how it works for OnlyFans, but I'm assuming you can see who your subscribers are, or if there's a man in particular that's always checking for you, buys that biggest package. Do the men that subscribe to your OnlyFans page have a chance to date you in real life?
Yes and no. First instance would be no, but if it's someone who's can't necessarily contact me in a way, and they're just physically attracted to me, and they watch my socials, and they think they know my personality and think they would clash well, and they're able to articulate that, I'll give them a chance compared to the men who just have fetishes. Because I've been around someone who's had like a secret fetish, and it comes out with their behaviors. I've been around someone who's like, well, good luck finding someone who doesn't like you for your chest, so it just depends on the person's mentality, their emotional capabilities of expressing what they like about me other than the adult content, because that could be a plus. You'd want your partner to be attracted to you, genuine interest, and I wouldn't if it's just, oh my gosh, you get me off every night, be with me, you know what I mean? So
What? You literally. So you don't want a man that's like, you get me off every time, be with me. Yet you literally said you are a freak. You have certain kinks. I swear to God, it's like, this is what I'm saying. This is why, right? This, like I said, this is why women like this can only get either simps because they will agree with whatever you think, or players that will fuck you and leave you.
yes and no.
Okay. Now, what do you do in healthcare again?
I'm a telemetry technician. I watch heart rhythms and I interpret, to code.
Okay. All right. So let's get into it. You already said you want a man that's open-minded. We understand the reason why. And so just what would it take for you to walk away from your OnlyFans page if you got into a relationship? Would he have to, I don't know, supply the money that you would miss from that page? Or would you get another job that you could potentially make the same amount? Like, would you want that money that you would miss if
people in this economy? I have multiple streams of incomes. I have multiple side hustles. And again, the whole OF avenue is just like, it's conveniently perfect for my personality in a sense. So I do phenomenal in healthcare. It's nothing to pick up a shift, it's nothing to work 5 days a week, or even do PRN at another hospital. I have no problems with making money. I work full time, been in the same career for about almost 4 years. And that was the same company that I moved to Texas to, because I was working and doing that in Florida. So I'm very instilled in my career, and I do plan on going back to school to be a cardiovascular technician. It's higher pay when I want to. I do Uber, I do Lyft, I do Instacart, because I'm a social butterfly. I connect and talk to a lot of people. So I have multiple streams of income. So that person that I would potentially date doesn't have to replace that income, because it's frivolous. It's frivolous income. You know what I mean?
Got you. So here's the deal. We've been talking about it tonight. We have 3 categories from the turn me on category, since you are very outspoken and don't mind talking about sexual activities.
Kendra's not promoting her other shit.
So from the turn me on category, the red category, what's the wildest place you ever done something intimate?
The wildest place. What's interesting before I answer that is there's a lot of things that I want to experience, but because of the level I am intimately, a lot of people can't handle that. So there's places I want to do what the questions entailed, but my answer wouldn't be as adventurous because I haven't met a lot of adventurous people. But personally, the wildest place that I've done anything intimate, would be probably this was years ago, okay, but in a church parking lot.
A church parking lot.
This was years ago.
You pay the tithes and then open up the tithe.
I'm answering the question. It was years ago. It was after hours. Okay, that's the wildest place.
What was it? Bible study?
Kendra's trying to promote her card game.
No, late.
So okay, now you piqued my curiosity. Where's the place you will? Where's the? This is not a card. Well, maybe this is a card game question. I don't know all the questions. Actually, I do. I don't think this is the question. Where's the wildest place you would like to be intimate?
She should have said anywhere
Wildest place. I mean, I would say I have two. So one would be cliche, on a balcony on a cruise ship. You know, that's pretty, normal. The other one would be in one of those beach tents, like out of the country, like by the beach where they put the pillows and then they serve you, and you're outside, like, and it's not, on the beach, but it's like on the beach. So
yeah, I think those are kind of, I can get those fantasies.
I agree.
I will say this, inside the dating app, I asked that question and a person said a funeral home. Somebody.
And I worked hard for everything I have. So I have new, deal breakers I didn't have before. And the new ones are someone who's financially stable, someone who lives alone, but it's okay if you have a roommate, because I understand life. I'm open-minded. Maybe not four, but if your brother's your roommate and, it's just you had a late start, and someone who's not financially stable, someone who's problematic, a complainer, not a solution.
Yeah, I'm still playing that game. I actually love that game, right? So it's Slay Aspire 2. I love that game, so I'm always playing it. I haven't been streaming that game because I know people. I mean, I'm not really a gamer. A gaming streamer. So I don't know.
Based person.
The gym, yeah.
And someone who's not responsible, not just financially, but emotionally, like someone who fumbles people's feelings, like, that misread rooms, like you don't see the energy. Someone who can't see people's energy or understand what people's intentions or what they're trying to communicate. Just someone who's clueless is a deal breaker.
Okay. Should he look a certain way?
No, I love my short kings.
How tall are you, MJ?
I'm 5'5".
Okay, so he could be your height?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. What about money? Should he make a certain amount of money?
Well, I would like him to make more than me, because that kind of puts us on the same level. I'd rather someone on my level.
Your level? You are a adult content creator. Your level? It's like, this is the thing where women always think that money makes their level. It doesn't. Money does not make your level. I'm sorry. As a woman, your money is pointless. It's meaningless. It's like, it's like, I don't know, a fucking, like, sprinkle on a cake, right? It's okay. It's nice to look at, but it's meaningless. You could take that sprinkle off and it still be a fucking cake, right? It still probably be a better cake. So really, your money means nothing because one, you're not paying for shit. You're not paying for dates. You're not taking care of him. You know what does matter? Your looks. You are a chubby woman, but your behavior. You show your body to men for $11. You show your body to simp men, to weak ass men for $11, to stupid men for $11. You sold your body for $11. Your money, your level isn't a six-figure man. I'm sorry. It isn't that. Your level is a simp or a player. It's not the money. It's the personality, right? That is your level. Because it doesn't matter how much you make. Doesn't mean that you will qualify for a six-figure man. Now, you could probably find a maybe six-figure simp or a six-figure player, right? That's probably what you could find. But one, the simp well, he's a weak man. Good luck. 2, the player, he may be 6 figures, but he's going to pump it and dump it.
And higher than someone under my level because I work hard. I'm a hustler. I'm Haitian, so I'm a very hard worker. I was raised to just to keep working. And
were you raised to show your body too? I don't think so, but you still do it.
To just create a good life for myself and potentially my family if, God blesses me with one. So someone who makes more than me, or same amount as me.
What's that minimum?
I would say no less than 30,000. I make around 36. So
You make 36,000 while doing OF? What the fuck is that?
somewhere around 36 and higher.
So with all your jobs, you make 36.
Well, I'm only talking about my career. So in healthcare, like what, tangible, IRS, tax, whatever. So 36 is for my healthcare for sure. If I were to add everything, I'd say about 45, maybe 50.
Okay.
You are selling your body and you make 40, you make about 50K a year. Fuck you doing? It's like, what's the point? It's like, here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. This is the problem I find with a lot of women, okay? I feel rich. But this is the crazy shit, right? She's 28, selling her body, right? And doing multiple jobs, multiple streams of income, and she makes about 50K a year. Her bet would have been better is like, you know what? Don't sell your body. Marry a man when you are 25, and that'll be good, right? A man that makes, let's say, 70, let's say 90K a year, right? At 25, you could probably marry a 35-year-old or a 40-year-old, right? That makes 70 to 90K a year. At 25, even though she's chubby cute, right? She's chubby okay, right? Again, she's not the worst looking woman, okay? I'm not as critical as, my chatters, okay? But again, at 25, she has the youth for her, right? She has youth going for her. Even at 28, you're bordering it, right? Now, at 28, you probably have to get with a man that's, I don't know, 40 and above. But if you didn't have, right, the whole the adult entertainer shit stigmatized on you, then you'll be doing well. At 28, marrying a man that's like, getting with a man that's like 40, right? A man that's like 40, he'll probably be making about 70 to 90K, right? Right? A man that's at 40, if he's done his due diligence, that should be the amount he'd be making. If you had youth on you, right? You had morality, right? That would have been golden. Problem is, you have fucked up your life, in my opinion, right? You messed it up. You're waiting longer. You're doing more crap that would like devalues you. This is a thing where, I mean, like, again, I say she's not, I say she's a 4, right? A 4 is not terrible, right? Again, she's a chubby girl, right? She's a chubby girl, but again, that's what I'm saying, right? Even though she's chubby, age is still a good thing, right? Age is still a good thing. So that's why I said marrying a 40-year-old would definitely balance shit out.
Okay. All right, let's do the Kendra Cam.
Okay, so it was hot in Texas, so I kind of threw this little fit on, but everything's covered. But I'll do.
Oh, you got me nervous when they. Woo!
Guys, any boobies, guys, right? Any breast guys? I mean, like, this is the, okay. I don't want to sound bad, right? I don't want to sound bad. But what do you guys think? All right, what do you guys think?
No, not.
She's a chubby girl. Ew. Okay, let me be honest, right? I'm not a big fan of very flabby boobs, right? That's not me, right? I'm not a big fan of that. I prefer them a bit perky, right? So even this is the thing where even if you have big, big boobs and they're like pancakes, flapjacks, it's not really desirable, right? And she is on the bigger side too, right? You can see the, bigger. I mean, she's not terrible, not like more morbidly obese, but she's probably a bit obese, right? She's probably a bit obese. So again, this is why I said at 25, she did at 25, find a man that at 40 she'll probably be better off. She doesn't have much going for her, right? Especially at 28, almost getting to 30, she doesn't have much going for her.
I'm telling you, I'm just it was.
I ain't think there was breasts bigger than mine in the world. This is an OnlyFans advertisement.
No. I can't. And it's crazy because I just made a video about that, and it's like I can't help the way I look. I can't help that when I
definitely morbid.
Walk into the room, my smile, my eyes aren't the first thing that men see, and a lot of people have misused that.
I mean, like you can tell her, black men would love her. Black men probably do, find her attractive, highly attractive. This is why I said, right? Again, let's be honest. There's always women will have no problem. I've said this many times, right? It don't matter if you're fat, if you're ugly, if you're young, if you're old, if you have like 5 baby mamas or 5 baby daddies or 0 kids, right? Women will always find a man. Women can always find a man, right? It is not that hard for women to find a man. So you just gotta be honest.
Harass me. I've had problems, and I've embraced how I look, and I'm very confident, and I wear it with pride. So
this is true, but you don't have to necessarily wear a shirt that has your breast out. Now that's the choice you decided. And here's the deal. I wasn't always part of the huge breast world. My breasts just grew during COVID, and they never.
That's great. That's true, right? Men will. I mean, again, she's an OF model, so she's leading with her body.
Stopped. And I gotta say, for me, it's quite annoying because I have to adjust, and I'm constantly looking for clothing that just covers my breasts. Sometimes I'm just like, what covers the breast?
The same bathing suit, the same top, but because my chest looks the way it looks, it's inappropriate.
Girl, you can't wear no A-cup bathing suit.
No, I said me and a woman who wears an A or B cup can wear the same type of bathing suit, but because the way I'm built, it's more inappropriate compared to when she's wearing it. And I just feel like women who are built like me should be able to wear, and I respect what you're saying, but should be able to wear anything a itty bitty girly can wear.
That's not how the fucking world works. You are stupid. This is the problem with a lot of women, right? They don't realize consequences. Women are like children. Women think like children, right? They can't realize consequences, right? Children, right? Children don't understand consequences. Criminals don't understand consequences. And now women don't understand consequences, right? To say that, if a woman with a slimmer body can wear this, you as a fat woman with big flabby titties can wear it too. That's not how the fucking world works, right? You show things differently. It's just fucking how it is. Wake up. That's not how the world works. Right? There's different reactions for different types of people. It's just fucking how it's just how it is.
Yes, because of how big they are, it seems more inappropriate. It seems more outlandish, but a lot of women have their shirt and they're fine because their chest is smaller. And it's kind of unfair, not to say that you're being unfair.
The world is unfair. I just, that's a child mentality, right? I think it's an immature mentality to complain about how unfair the world is. That's immature of you.
Unfair, but it's just life, you know what I mean? Because
I think at some point in time we just have to. I mean, we could defend double standards all we want, but it's a waste of time defending double standards.
I'm not talking to you.
Like what you just said, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with what you said. You're right. If your chest was smaller, I still think if your chest was smaller and it was exposed, it would still be a thing. But the fact of the matter is, yes, you and a girl with a different body type, it is going to cause 1000% different attention. And whether right or wrong, the argument you said is kind of skewed
Not an
because
argument. No, it's not an argument. It's just another. I was understanding what you were saying. I just was saying yes. What I'm wearing is wild, but another woman on couldn't hear wearing the same thing. And you wouldn't have said anything. So
that's not true. I mean, that's not necessarily true. If there was a woman I mean, listen, it is what it is. When I saw it, we could clearly see your breast.
Mhm.
And like I said, I also have large breasts, not necessarily excited about it, but I do. And it is a challenge. Like, people with big breasts understand this. Like, sometimes it is hard to find clothes that you like or that can fit, but it is possible. And
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, you just got to I mean, you're wise enough to know that will cause different attention.
With
But
anything to wear, yeah.
but I mean, you also, I don't know, I kind of look at it like a plug for your OnlyFans page, child, because once they see it, they be like, I got my $11 ready.
Right. Yeah, no, like I wear a lot of, and another thing that I should share with men is that I wear a lot of outfits like this. I just embrace.
You wear a lot of outfits like that. It's like, what type of man you think you're attracting? I already said it, right? You are going to only attract the players. These men are not going to commit. These men are not serious with you. And I'm sorry, I don't think you're going to find any man that's going to be serious with a woman like this.
Embrace them being out in a sense. I'm very conscious of what I wear. I like to be sexy. I like to, show off my attributes and what have you. I just have that personality. Like I like to be the bombshell when they walk in the room, so I have that
You like
personality.
attention.
Yes, and yes, but not in the way that people may think it's negative or like self-condescending like that. Like, look at me, look at me. It's just like you're already gonna look at me, so I'm gonna give you a reason to look, basically.
Okay. All right, fair enough. So when was your last relationship, MJ?
About 4.5 years ago.
Okay. You don't have to answer, but I'm gonna ask. When's the last time you was intimate with someone?
April 3rd.
Oh, wow. Okay. 3 flaws you have to work on.
April 3rd? She probably was a business thing.
3 flaws. I'm not perfect by any means. I'm just trying to think of, because with me not dating, I'm not sure what the problems have been since I've grown and matured since my last relationship. But I would say some flaws in the past.
I would say is that your weight is probably a flaw. The problem, you're not just a freak in the sheets, you're a freak in the streets as well, right? You're showing off your freakness. So those are definitely 2. She works too hard. That is one.
I was
She works
very
too hard.
not necessarily independent, but I can have independent qualities. Like I can take care of it if I ask you to do something. I guess you say impatient. I can be impatient depending on what it is. I
Love a woman that's impatient. Great quality. I mean, she is saying that's a negative, but you can understand why she's still single, right? Adding all these other stuff.
I like feedback. I like detailed feedback. Like if I say, how is this meal? And you say, oh, it's delicious. I want to know what's delicious about it. Or I feel like there's more, like I overthink sometimes. Like, what do you like about it? How's the consistency? How's the texture? How is the size? I want more. And it irks me that I have to express that I want more. So that could be like a bad thing, I guess, because I don't want to be naggy, but it's like, but now it seems like I asked you 20 questions when I just asked you one, and you could have just told me what I wanted to know. But yeah, for sure. I think that's a few of them.
Okay. And why would a guy be lucky to be with MJ?
Clown.
So a guy would be lucky to be with me because I've had multiple jobs. I
Did you just bring up your jobs when telling men why they would be lucky to be with you? Your jobs.
I'm someone who's always worked somewhere from fast food to delivery driver to healthcare to even, McDonald's. So I'm multifaceted to even for the state of Florida, detention officer, prison. Like I'm very, and I dabble in a lot of things. So
No, to be honest, my baby mom has hurt me so badly. I think I kind of swear off black women. I have. To be honest, I've been hurt so badly by my baby mom. I think I'm good with black women. I'm done. All right. So I mean, I'm not saying that there's no attractive black women. I just like, they're not attractive to date. Right. I think at least the ones that find me attractive, right? That may want me, they're just not worth dating. I'm sorry. Black women in general are just not worth dating. That's why I feel for black men, right? Or at least, for good black men. Black women aren't worth dating. They're not. I mean, like, hell, I mean, they're definitely freaking the sheets. I've said this before. Or, the best sex is usually with a black woman, right? Or at least that's how I felt. Yeah, that they can be freaks. They can be insatiable when it comes to sex, but they can be a pain to be around, right? You can't be a man around black women. Again, I'm only speaking from experience, so I don't know how white women are. I don't know how whatever, but with black women, they don't allow you to be a man, right? Because black women are very aggressive, very combative, very pig-headed, right? Very opinionated. So you think that you can be the man of the relationship? Fuck no. They won't allow it, right? They will override you, right? They will take control of the relationship. It's their way or the highway when it comes to a lot of black women. I'm not saying, at least what I'm just strictly speaking from experience, right? I'm not talking about all black women, but I'm just talking about in general what I've dealt with and what I've heard, right? It is very difficult to be in a relationship with black women. Black women can love you hard, right? But they can beat the shit out of you as well. So,
seen life in multiple ways.
oh yes, it's like they're loud, vulgar, and aggressive. So I mean that it's fun having sex, right? All that energy and shit is fun having sex. It is terrible to be in a relationship with. I'm sorry. This is why black women have the lowest marriage rates. Because it's not enjoyable, right? It's not. At least for the other parts of the relationship, right? Again, sex is great. Other part of relationships, it's a headache.
Different lenses, different positions, different situations. So I can fit in almost any room. They'll be lucky because I have insight on, a different type of culture, sharing my culture with my partner. One of the things that would be nice if I do potentially get into a relationship is to share my language with my children so they'll be, bilingual. Is to share my recipes or my traditional
I agree, yeah.
dishes with my children, is to have personal recipes like, honey, make your famous meatloaf tonight or your famous spaghetti. It's very communicative, very traditional, and
Yes. OF model. It's very you're very traditional.
very open. So they'll be lucky to be with me because the lifestyle that we create is going to be it unique for the both of us, not common like everyone else.
Seriously, it does not sound appetizing at all. It doesn't. It really doesn't. She really said nothing that's all that appetizing. And she don't realize that she has glaring flaws, right? Glaring flaws. So again, I'm not saying it's impossible for her to find a man. It's not hard at all, right? It's not hard at all. But I don't know. Will she find the man that she wants?
That makes sense. And I'm fun, you know, I'm hilarious. I'm a comedian, not professionally, but I can be. I'm humorous. Um, and I'm spicy. I'm not vanilla. I can teach you some things in a sense, and I'm still wanting to learn some things. I haven't experienced everything because one of the reasons why I don't have like, penetration content on my OF is because that was one thing I wanted to hold off for a potential partner. Like, you can see me doing this, you can see me doing this, sure, but there's some things you won't see me doing on there. And it just a boundary that I have. So I have boundaries, and I think
Okay, just for my clarity, because sometimes I'll be a little lost. When you mean penetration, are you saying sex with another man, or you don't do like a toy penetration either?
So I don't do both. Yeah.
Okay.
So just stimulation and what have you. But yeah,
So they
and
be having, so there's girls on OnlyFans.
You know, that is something too, right? I think it's funny that women think that men desire to a woman with a lot of experience. They don't. I'm sorry. It is men would prefer for them to teach you what they like. You don't need to teach men, right, how to perform. You don't. Now, I mean, it's not a bad thing for you to tell men what you like, but for you to teach men different positions or show how freaky you are with things that, he's never done, it just shows you how widely, I don't know, for the streets you are, right? So to be honest, men don't desire women with a whole lot of experience.
So they do porn essentially, and men pay for that.
yes,
Wow.
there's some women that like sleep with men, and I chose not to because I don't like think of myself as a porn star, but just like an adult content creator, But yeah, I'm no angel. Everyone does things behind the dark. You've seen this girl do a gangbang, but she's done one and you've never seen it. But they're the same, you know what I mean? So, and again, I'm aware that I might be single and I'll still live in a thriving, happy.
Yeah, leading the bedroom, it just shows that she's way too advanced, way too experienced to like start leading in the bedroom.
Friendship filled, relationship filled, travel filled life, and I'm fine with that avenue. And
I agree, right? Yes, Passport Bros and MGTOW is growing at a rapid pace. It really is. Men are either tired of this with these types of women and just giving up, or men are tired with this and searching for actual proper women.
if I happen to meet someone
Proper ladies.
and pursue a relationship and potentially get married and have kids, I'm fine with that avenue as well. So I'm really much open. It's not gonna be the end of the world if I don't find a man. But it'll be nice if I did. But I know that I have baggage, as they say. For sure, I'm realistic.
Okay. All right. You don't have
Oh, okay, good that she's realistic.
to, because you already did it once, but there's many requests for you to do the Kendra Cam again. But I mean, this is men that have been requested for Kendra Cam twice. You don't have to though, so it's your decision because it's only required to do it one time. Okay, for those who missed the Kendra Cam, here we go. Okay.
You see, this is why, right? Her audience, which is probably predominantly black men, are requesting the Kendra Cam. This is the thing. This is a body that black men would like. So this is why I'm not saying that this woman won't find a man, right? This is a body that black men would like. It is. So like I said, the type of black men that will go for this are either simps or players, right? Players in the sense that they just want to hit it and quit it. They just want to have sex. That is it. The simps, well, they're weak men, so they will go for anything that they find that fits their fancy, right? So this is a body that black men would like, which is, it is what it is. I mean, of course.
All right, coming to the stage, MJ. We got M and J.
I love 3.
So let me see if MJ3 is available.
Or you can
You won't find a good man.
You could put MJ Mellons with a Z, yes.
Okay, so that would be MJ MELLONZ.
Minus 1 L.
Oh, it's 1 L. Okay. So MJ MLONZ.
Yes.
Okay, so download the Kendra G Singles dating app. Her username, this is the username. They can search you by your username.
She has a LGBTQ tag on that. Down for whatever. I'm Haitian. I'm kind. I'm funny. I have a spicy personality.
Username MJ.
What do you guys think? What do my black brothers think? She up your alley?
MLONZ. So let me show you how to find the app. You go to your.
I mean, again, big boobs they like. I mean, I like big boobs. It's just like it's way too, way too floppy for me.
Let me pull it up. Here we go. Kendra G Singles. And you know the dating app, set up your profile, make your looking for. They gonna be looking for you. About to
I
get
don't
more.
lead. Honestly, I don't lead with that. You
Down
know,
for whatever.
I am
Girl, it's too late.
transparent
It doesn't matter what you lead with. You let it's on our show. This is a different.
because
You out here to the world, girl.
no, for sure. I'm transparent. I wouldn't like just put in my bio because I'll be on there to date. And if it came up in a conversation, I'll tell you personally, not just advertise it. Like I wouldn't do that.
Well, the difference is this. This is what's unique about my dating app. They're gonna meet you via the show before they meet you inside the app. So I'm gonna make this a highlights. That's why you need to download the dating app right now. Spell it. You told me to spell it MJ. That's
Maybe
what
because
she said.
they're trying to find it and it's not there. Probably.
It's not there yet. She's about to create it. So perfect example. Download it. Set it up right now because people are gonna see this video. They're gonna know.
Has melons in the username but doesn't lead with it. Yeah. Okay, this is the thing. These women lead with their sexuality, right? These women lead with their sexuality. I'm sorry, a woman that leads with her sexuality, guess what happens? Guess what? Men will see you as a sexual object. Men will see you as a sexual object. So, guess the type of men that would see you as a sexual object are the men that want to use you for sex.
You're already on OnlyFans. That's why my dating app is unique from all other dating apps because of profile. Perfect example. We have our next wedding, our second wedding in 2024. You know, we had a wedding in Paris back in May. Now this month, Ashley, who was on the show in 2024 as well, is getting married to a doctor. MJ. All right, honey. Well, listen, I am wishing you the best. This is MJ Dallas. Let me ask you a couple things. MJ Dallas, Texas, 28 Scorpio, works in healthcare, no kids, never married, adult content creator. Could the man have kids?
I would prefer a man with no kids.
Okay. What's the age range you want to date?
No younger than 25, so 25 to 40.
Okay. And should he be in Dallas?
You want a 40-year-old man with no kids? I mean,
I hop on planes. I would travel for love. I'd move for love. So for sure, yeah.
Play stay hopper. Don't play with profile, and that's how the man that sees this video can reach out to you, honey.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hope everyone on here gets their chance to be on here because I've watched plenty of times trying to be like, oh my gosh, maybe this is the platform where, you can be transparent and find someone. You know what I mean? Because you post your whole body, try not to be catfish, not show your face, and it's like, oh, comment. Such a tough, but I see that all the testimonials that you have, all the marriages that hope for sure.
Wonderful.
So thank you for that, mind you. Like, yeah.
okay. What do you guys think? It's just, again, I'm not saying that it's impossible. It's not impossible for her to find someone. It's probably relatively easy, right? But will she find a good man? I doubt it, right? I'm not that. I don't think the percentage is that high, right? I'm not saying it's zero, but I don't think it's that high. Because again, a type of woman like this, in my opinion, will either attract the simps or the players. Kind of is, right? Particularly her profession, right? Particularly her profession. I don't care if she's great that she's like not doing penetration work. Okay. I guess that's great. But still, right? What kind of morally sound man, right? A good man. Okay. What kind of morally sound man you think is going to want to be with this woman? Even if he's like 40 and she's 28. I don't think good men would want to bother with this, in my opinion, right? At least good, smart men, morally sound men. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Guys, I love ya. That is it for tonight. That is it for tonight. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being here. Hope you guys have a good weekend, right? Good rest of your weekend. She's chopped. I mean, she's a 4. She's a 4 in my opinion, right? But she's definitely has the whole sex industry thing is honestly not a benefit for her. Guys, I love you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Please check out my other videos, right? My second channel, Devil's Avocado, has just got back on YouTube partnership. So if you guys could check out that channel, right? Check out the videos on that channel and stuff, right? What you call it, the YouTube shorts or the videos. It'll help me out, right? On my second channel, you know, Devil's Avocado. First, this channel, Devil's Advocate, is still, I still have to wait, you know, still have some time to wait until I could reapply for YouTube partnership. But that is it. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys for all the support. Laughing Man, thank you for the donation, right? I love you. Thank you for the love, right? Evil Eddie, Lenny, Big Bars, I love you, my brother. Tony B was here, right? Red Door was here. I love you guys. Brianna, thank you for being here. I think that's it. Oh, Ethan was here too. Guys, I love you. You guys are amazing. Yes, Laughing Man, I love you. Music. All right, music by the amazing Evil Eddie, right? Love his stuff. Love his music. So please listen. Please check it out if you like it. Guys, I love you.
I'm on a peaceful walk tonight, through the colors, through the lights. Every street has something new. Every step reveals the view. Vietnam beneath the sky, watching another day go by. No rush, no race, no need to run. Just walking with everyone. The city fades into the night, neon reflections shining bright. One more road, one more view. A peaceful walk to carry through.